Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Trying to get Lemmy against LeBron. How about this? He spins. He's right past the king.
1440. And the Oilers Nathan YouTube channel.
Fake to him here. Look around. Down the middle.
For the Detroit touchdown.
A lovely Thursday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. The Bears covered. Should have kicked a field goal. He could have went to overtime, but they didn't, and they lose to Detroit. They make the game a lot closer. If it looked like it was going to be a blowout, but the Bears made it close and took some ill-advised penalties late, and then they don't even kick the field goal. Yikes. But the Lions are able to just get a win. Any given Thursday. Is that the new saying now? Any given Thursday. See what happens. Lots of football chatter on the show today. We'll talk some hockey with the Oilers as they get they're just about to jet over to Utah to make their first and only appearance of the season in Utah against the hockey club, yet to be named hockey club, who are likely going to be named the Yetis at some point in 2025. Likely the worst kept secret in marketing of pro sports, but either way, we'll see what happens. The order, I've said it, that game sets up. That should be a game the Oilers, they should win, no problem. This is a team that can't score right now. Terrible penalty kill. So not only do they have a bad penalty kill, they've taken the most penalties in the NHL in the month of November. Now, I know the Oilers' power play isn't dominant, but at some point they got to wake up, don't they? Don't they? You got to think so. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Lots to discuss on the Oilers. Also, the Elks is a free agent list. Some of the big names, we'll get to that. Also, Mark Killam had a very good interview, sources tell me, for the head coaching job of the Elks. And as you know what? Chris Morris, of course, Killam played for the Bears. He's from Edmonton. He's been coaching for a long time. Was he able to convince him to say, hey, guys, just because I don't have head coaching experience doesn't mean I'm not going to be a head coach. Doesn't mean I'm not a good option. And I think that's where it is right now for the Elks. So we'll talk about that. Also, Trey Ford on offense. Here's the free agent list for the Elks, the bigger names. Trey Ford, McLeod Bethel-Thompson, Dakota Prokop. All three of their quarterbacks. I'm pretty confident Trey Ford is going to re-sign. Pretty confident McLeod Bethel-Thompson won't. Now, if he wanted to take a veteran deal to be a backup, I could see it. But I think he probably wants to get starter money. They've also got Javon Leake, who I thought was excellent. Him and the tank, Rankin, really good combination as the two running backs. Then you have Eugene Lewis, Tevin Jones, Fergie Mayala as free agent receivers. David Foucault, probably the most important O-lineman, who's a free agent. Then on defense, Niles Morgan, Luchez Pirifor, Derek Moncrief, Darius Bratton, Sean Oakman, DeMarcus Christmas. I got a lot of guys on defense who were pretty significant players. So we'll see. Ed Hervey, of course, had mentioned it. He wants to talk to those guys. I was actually, when he was in the locker room, him and Jones was like, hey, man, I really want to talk to you. So I think there's certain positions that Ed Hervey, like I'll say this. I think he would like Eugene Lewis back, but based on how he constructs his team, I don't think he'll be giving Eugene Lewis huge money. Historic, because he says, hey, Ed was a receiver himself. He's always said, you can find good receivers. And look at Tevin Jones. Great example, right? There's been many others. They come in. Now, when you get a good one, obviously you want to keep him. And Eugene Lewis, pretty good receiver. But it's going to come down to salary cap and everything else. So those are the potential UFAs for the I would think out of them, like if I had to put a priority list, Trey Ford obviously would be number one. For me, Focal, offensive line's important. So unless you're going to sign another free agent one, I'd always try to keep my O-line guys. I'm not overpaying them, but I always try to keep them. I thought Javon Leake was excellent. He could be a kick returner, but he's also very good on offense. And I'd rather have him as a running back because he's touching the ball way more often. Purifoy, for sure, I think they want back. You know, he lives here now year-round. That's something important. He was very good on the field. So I think he's here. I thought Bratton was excellent for them. Now, Oakman and Christmas. Oh, Christmas played, 10 games? First of all, I just like the name and the fact that he wears number 97 and his last name's Christmas. Oiler fans or any, that's pretty fitting. 97 and Christmas. Oiler fans feel like it's Christmas every day when they watch 97 on their team. I thought Bratton was solid. Same with Moncrief. So, Niles Morgan, same thing. But depending now at his age, I don't think he'll get. If he wants to be one of the highest paid linebackers, I don't think it's going to happen in Edmonton. But linebackers, receivers historically are not guys that Ed has went out and overpaid big on. So we'll see. Now he likes to keep the guys that are good, and the Elks had a great linebacking core tandem specifically last year. So I think they'd like to keep them in place. So we'll touch on that. We got a lot of texts coming in already. 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, Hyman going to play tomorrow? No. Today he's on the ice, great. But the coach said earlier in the week, and that's his first practice since he missed game. Didn't practice, maybe he skated on his own. But I think him being on the ice today is a good chance he could play Tuesday in Vegas. Now, he'll probably take the morning skate again tomorrow, so maybe he'll be ready for Colorado, maybe. But I'd be surprised if he's ready tomorrow. But you never know. I'm not going to 100% rule it out. But based off what the coach said earlier and how many practices he's had, I would say lower chance that he plays. But we'll hear from Knobloch about that a little bit later on. Also, the NFL, of course, triple header. Connor Halley is with us. And Cons, what'd you make of that ending?
I mean, unexcusable if you're Matt Eberflus, head coach of the Chicago Bears. They had plenty of time to take a timeout, especially knowing
what are you doing? You ran the clock out.
Knowing the situation, you have a rookie quarterback. Don't you want to give him settle him down? He was panicking a little bit there. Settle him down, call a play, let him know what's going on there. You don't do that, and they're just rushing to the offensive line. The play looked like it was doomed from the start. You're down by 3. You need 10, 15 yards, and you're in field goal range. That would have been a 58-yarder, I believe. Their kicker is long in the year is 54, so maybe you don't want to, risk it. Especially
just call the timeout. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, of course. That's the thing. You didn't need to run that play. You could have taken a timeout, ran a play to the sidelines. Or even, just take the timeout. It's awful. I don't know what Chicago Bears are doing here. I don't think Eberflus is the guy going forward. You got to find Caleb Williams, his future coach. Maybe he was on the opposing sideline today, and Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, but that was just awful. The Chicago Bears fans should be choked. I tweeted, how many Thanksgivings did he just ruin?
How do you not call a timeout? Now, even if you call a timeout, might not win. But you're giving yourself a chance. You set up the play. This is what we're going to run. We're going to run. If it doesn't work, we'll attempt the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
There was when it started. Now maybe he's like, wow, we got lots of time, and if it doesn't work, no. Then you're saving your timeout for what? Right? You're hoping that you have a completion down the field. I guess I don't know. That was mind blowing to me. The quarterback looked like he was like, what play are we doing? He's got his hands like, what was he doing? The turkey. I don't know what he was doing with his hands there either. But that was an absolute tire fire.
Yeah, the mindset could be, let's complete a pass here, then take the timeout. But as soon as the panic is going there, like you said with Caleb Williams, call the timeout. Run a play. And like you said, if you don't get it, just don't take the sack. Try the long field goal. Give yourself a chance. But with that play, call, execution, everything, they had no chance.
Yeah. So, text line looks to be having issues, so you can always email us, Gregor at sports1440.ca, Gregor at sports1440.ca. Other than, did you see the NHL last night? Oh my goodness. Lindgren had one of the, he shot the puck right into his own net as a goalie from the low slot circle. That's a high danger scoring area. And he ripped it right into his own net. I'm sure it's happened before. I just can't recall the last time I saw that. That was absolutely hilarious. But they overcame it. And, they got the win. So that's what's good for them. But that was something else, man. Something else. I haven't seen that very often, Cons. I don't know if you saw it last night or not, but that was quite the play from Lindgren. But the Capitals, they win again, even without Ovi. They score 5. Don't sleep on the Washington Capitals, man. They are legit. They are good. Now, I don't know how good. I'm not saying they're a cup contender, but they look really good right now. And the Oilers weak. No games. Vancouver wins one, loses one. So, you gain some ground in games in hand. Calgary loses and then loses in overtime. And so now you have a game in hand on the Flames. Same with the LA Kings. And the Oilers, they're well rested. Now they'll go into Utah, a team they should clearly beat. Colorado will obviously be a tougher test on Saturday night. But this week off has given them a lot of rest and actually kind of helped them in the standings, because a lot of the other teams, they're 5 points back of Vegas. Well, they got a game in hand, I guess, so it would be 5. They're technically 7. But the other ones they're fine with. If worst case scenario, they're 5 back of Vegas, but they're within 1 of Calgary. And Vancouver got some brutal news. I don't know if you saw it last night, but Philip Hronek is going to miss a significant amount of time. So could be months. They already don't have JT Miller. So, they still don't have Demko, although he's getting closer. But Hronek plays a ton of minutes. He's like their number 2 defenseman. That's a big blow. And it's not 2 or 3 games. It might be 2 or 3 months. So that's a big blow for them. The Toronto Maple Leafs, just when the Maple Leaf fans are getting excited, they go on the road against a team. You're like, hey, this is a team we're going to match up against, and they get walloped 5-1 by the Panthers. And so they still got a little ways to go, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Bruins offense woke up, scored 6 times. You also had the Blackhawks, and an interesting stat from the NHL stat people. Anytime you are mentioned with Dit Clapper, I'm giving you a handshake. So Taylor Hall scored a hat trick last night in the first 2 periods of the game. It's his first hat trick since he was a member of the Oilers on December 5th, 2013. And he now becomes the 5th player in NHL history to go 10 years between hat tricks in the regular season or playoffs. Dit Clapper did it back in 1933 and then again in 1945. Woody Dumart did it in 1939 and again in 1951. Guy Carbonneau, January 6, 83, and then December 27, 1993. And Matt Duchene went November 4th, 2011 to November 20th, 2021. So if you look at the years for Hall, looking at the timeline, he was the third longest in between hat tricks in NHL history. So good for him. It's been a rough start for him, but you think that gets going. Also in that game, Hawk fans probably all exhaled because Connor Bedard actually scored a goal. He's been struggling, and I've watched a few of the Chicago games. I get it. It's the first time in his life I think he's ever dealt with any sort of scoring adversity. He's not used to it, nor should he be. He's always been used to scoring. But it was it 14 games without a goal? I don't care who you are. That's going to wear on you a little bit, especially if you're a highly offensive player. So good for Bedard and for Taylor Hall. Just anytime you can bring up the name Dit Clapper, I am all for it.
Absurd question for you, Gregor.
Yeah.
Celebrini or Bedard? Who'd you rather have on your team?
Well, it's prettier. I think everybody's getting, right now, Celebrini is the shiny toy. Celebrini. I said this about Connor Bedard from day one. I said, stop the lunacy and trying to compare him to Connor McDavid. They're not even in the same conversation. Now, people, but Bedard has a really good shot. So what? He's smaller. He's slower. That's just a fact. So Connor Bedard, I think, is going to be a very good player in the NHL. But it might take a little bit longer than people were thinking. He's not going to be a 100-point player in year 2 like McDavid was. He's just not. Right? It's not a knock on him. It's hard to score 100 points. There's a lot of guys in the league who've been in years 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, never did it. And lots of good top picks. Nathan McKinnon, Daniel Henrik-Sedin, guys who took a while to really find their stride. So right now, Celebrini, if you watch the two players, the difference is one guy's having the time of his life and one guy's pretty frustrated. But Celebrini is a bigger center. So there's that. But, man, it's hard to count out Bedard. It's a good question. I think a lot of people got ahead of themselves by trying to claim generational talent for somebody who's, you can't claim generational talent until you've been in the league against the best of the best and had multiple years where you've looked like the best player. So until that, don't ever fall victim to it again. It's unfair to teenagers to put that much hype on. I tried, and I said all the guys, hey, I think Bedard's going to be good. People want to say he'd score 40 goals this year. I'm like, guys, you know how hard it is to score 40 goals? It's really hard. And you know what? Every player has a tendency. Goaltenders, shooters, everybody. Right now, Bedard, he's lost his confidence. He's not shooting as much. And sometimes he's passing up great shots. So it's a good question, though, Cons, but I think it's too early to know. I can't say with any sort of reality. It would be an uninformed opinion based on nothing, to be honest, if I'm being bluntly honest. And I know everybody we like to rush for everything. I just want to see both players and talk to me in 5 years.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I led with it's an absurd question because it is so early in both of these players' careers. And I mean, so much of it is going to be with how their organizations are ran around them, right? Like some players just don't get the support they need. They mess it up and it doesn't quite go the way you might have planned. But obviously, we both know both of these players are going to have, I would say, very good careers. And Malcolm Celebrini, I got to say, like, you get late night Sharks games last few years, I haven't been watching, but this year to see him play, I've been tuning in.
Yeah. Oh, no. Hey, Celebrini, you know what? I saw the goal last night. He's got a lot of excitement in his game right now, as he should. 218, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Dennis Bernstein will join us. We'll talk a little Pacific Division. Lots of NHL talk. 15 games last night. None today because it is Thanksgiving. Paul Sir will be by. Talk some hoops. TR's coming in hot. Ryan, what news story will we unearth today from TR? It's always entertaining itself. That and more of the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
For Legacy Heating and Cooling, some people think I only know hockey, but I know from the flame in your furnace to your mighty ducts. At Legacy, we never shark our duties. We get cracking and knuckle down to have your heating and cooling systems workings right, so you get a comfortable night's sleep. And that's just our division. I mean, a division of Legacy. But let's get to Pacifics. With Legacy, you'll get no interest and no principal payments for 1 year on your new furnace. Legacy, the difference with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job, sir.
the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
Kids getting free all season long. Can you believe it?
Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I want to talk to you about your roof. Actually, I'm talking about the roof on your house. If your roof were to spring a leak, how soon would you want to fix it?
Pretty much the instant you discover it, Rick.
That's right, Bob. The damage it can do to your home is measured in minutes, not weeks. But if you have a leak in your RV while it's stored away for the winter, this can lead to catastrophic problems, because you wouldn't even know what's happened until spring with months of damage already done.
Manufacturers recommend a roof assessment at least every year.
Right again, Bob. That's why No Bull RV offers free roof assessments every fall. We'll climb up there and check the condition of your RV's roof and give you a detailed report in writing. That way, you'll know if your RV is ready for another harsh northern Alberta winter. It's a free service we provide, and it could save you thousands in repair costs down the road.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.223. Welcome back, Gregor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook, X, Instagram, sports1440.ca as you make your way through. A little chilly. Good news is it'll warm up next week. Highs of -1 and 2. Totally take that. But, geez, that -20. First time in the morning, it kind of hits you. You know how it is. We get to the middle of January and we've had it for a week and we're like, whatever. But, man, that first one's always a little chilly. Always a little chilly. Let's get to Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And right now, download the McDonald's app. And on Thursdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays, it's Band-Aid deals. $4 Big Macs, McChickens, and filet of fish. But only through the McDonald's app. As we are joined now by a longtime reporter in the NHL from the fourth period, good friend of the show, Dennis Bernstein joins us. Dennis, welcome back, my man. How you doing?
Doing great. I think I'm going to bank my visit to Edmonton until April.
yeah, smart. All right, I didn't even look when the Kings are coming. But yeah, January, I'll say this. January is the 1 month where if you could stay away, I would. But after that, even February is rarely that cold, but it's January. January is normally the worst one for sure. Dennis, you look at the NHL right now, and I read an article the other day. Someone's like, I'm not sure there's a great team in the league. There's some good teams, and there's a lot of kind of in the middle teams, and that's probably fair. The Jets were off to an unreal start, but I don't know if people think they're a great team, and that's fine. But what do you make, I guess, of the Pacific Division? Let's start there. You got Vegas, Calgary's 28 points, LA 27, Van 25, Edmonton 24, and then Seattle, Anaheim, and San Jose. And they're like compared to previous years, those guys are doing okay because they're not getting like absolutely murdered. Like the Ducks are actually 500 teams. So where do you view the Pacific at? And is there a team or two that you really like and others that you're concerned about?
All right. So Oilers fans shouldn't be worried because when you look at this division, it's not very good, Jason. I mean, Vegas played well in their top division because they started 8-0 at home. You're right about one thing. Anaheim and San Jose are better. And if anybody watched a game Monday night in San Jose, watch them beat the Kings 7-2, they're a better team. Now, if you look at the standings, it gets 380 points percentage, but they've been better over since starting 07-2. I don't see a lot of strength, Jason. I really don't. I mean, I guess Vancouver, because they have a couple of games in hand. They have a couple of guys banged up, but I don't see from night to night. I don't see a lot of consistent quality at this point in time. Of course, the Knights, with their start plus 17 goal differential, but I think it's up for grabs. I think you could probably list Edmonton, Vancouver, Vegas, maybe outside LA to win the division. So I think it's up for grabs, and who's ever going to be playing best in the last 20 games probably wins the division and gets that probably 2 seed. Because you're right about one thing, Jason. Winnipeg is playing great. Are they a great team? I think that's the question.
Yeah, exactly. And the Vancouver Canucks got some bad news. Hronik's out. That's basically their number 2 defenseman, right? Like the LA Kings, that's the thing about the Kings. I see I'm not really sold on the Kings. I'm like, I am. They're doing this without Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty comes back. That's going to make them a much better team.
Well, the question is when he will return because remember, he had a fractured ankle, but so did Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas is already back in the lineup for St. Louis. The reason is I believe Drew had some ligament damage in that ankle too, so that's why you're seeing that delay. And then does he want to play or can he play in Four Nations? I know the dude wants to play without question. Everybody does. But yeah, the Kings have kind of stemmed the tide. But, when you see them lose twice to San Jose and you see them lose a blow 2-0 lead at home to Chicago and wind up losing in overtime, there's certain games that they've played that they basically gave away points, which they may regret. So, yes, they're doing it without Drew, and they've played really good defense. The offense has really struggled. Like, go down the list of 3 or 4 guys who have run the treat. Leading that is, Quentin Byfield, who has 2 goals, who really has regressed a little bit from his production standpoint. So while they're in the mix, they're so – Jason, if anybody out there is a listener, ever had a bipolar other significant other, that's what this team is. Like, because you go from the third period of getting 5 goals on Monday night against San Jose to suffocating the best team in the league right now in Winnipeg. They checked them into the ice last night in LA. So it's a TBD. But you're right. I wouldn't judge this team for the reason that you just said. Judge them when Drew's back and played 15 to 20 games. Then you can really judge what this team is going about. And you got to assume some of these guys who have underachieved, like Deneau, who got a second last night, like Byfield, like Moore, might get back on track with their goal scoring.
How's Warren Fogle played?
He's played great. He's been really good. Last night, he's up on the top line with Kopitar and Kempe, and he's a fit there, Jason, for the reason that you and the people in Edmonton know. He's fast. He's smart. He goes to the net. But with Jim Hiller, I would bet he doesn't start on the top line on tomorrow in Anaheim because Jim loves changing things up. And he had Phil Deneau on the 4th line last night. But Warren's been really, really good. I don't think it's a surprise because I expected him to play that way. Speed, which his team definitely needed on the wing, a little bit of a touch around the net. So he's really done very, very well in his role here so far.
What have you noticed? Like, because the team was pretty vocal that they were done playing the 1-3-1. A lot of the players. So Jim Hiller was an interim at the end. They give him the coaching job. Noticeably, obviously they're not playing the 1-3-1. But what else have you seen? What's different under Hiller?
Aggressive penalty kill. Their penalty kill beginning of the season wasn't good, and they got much more aggressive. And it's probably what they need to do offensively with respect to the power play, because these guys just stand around and they never score, even they got one last night. I think that's the key right now, is that the aggressiveness on the penalty kill. And I think that the players don't mind. It's a lot of juggling. Look, JG, every coach uses a blender. Every single one does. But to the degree that Jim uses it is really, way down the spectrum. It happens a lot. Guys coming in and out of lineup all the time. I think the rotation hasn't hurt, but at some point, I think you need continuity with lines. And granted, yes, Kopitar can't play every game, and Moore and Deneau do, but you need to put together 3-man units and settle in on them. Maybe it happens in the next 10 to 12 games. But I think the biggest change, Jason, is the aggressive on the penalty kill. And to your point, it's not that much different. Like, they're still going to check to win. They're still going to play defense to win. This is not an overwhelming offensive team. I think they're 17th in the league in scoring. So they're going to win the same way. It's just the difference between Todd and Jim Hiller is much more apt to make changes. And I think one of the major reasons Todd's not here anymore is that when they went through that really bad skid last year, he never changed anything. He believed so much in his team and the combinations. They said, look, eventually these guys are going to come out of it. They never came out of it. Hiller got the job. He doesn't have any patience. When he sees stuff not working 5 or 7 minutes into the game, you're going to see changes. That's the one drastic difference. So just as I said, the penalty kills were much better for this team.
Dennis Bernstein joins us. Dennis, young Brant Clark with the injury to Doughty, he's gotten more opportunity, and he's a really dynamic player in the offensive zone. And like most young defensemen, there's going to be times in the D zone where you're like, oof, geez. But to me, you got to live with that. But overall, Brant Clark, a lot of people raved about just his hockey skill and everything, and you're seeing it. When how has he gone? Like, you might have that early excitement level, but how's his play been now? Because you're coming up on 2 months.
From a personality standpoint, there's always going to be excitement. This kid is precocious. If you look up precocious in the dictionary, you might see a picture of Brant Clark. He's amazing. He's great to interview. He's been great. And not only that, when Drew comes back, he's got a lot of coverage, because then you're talking about, you're talking about Drew coming up so he doesn't have to produce that. He's produced points. He's not the exceptional power play quarterback you think he would be, because right now Jim Hill is running, 5 forwards on the top power play unit, but he's going to produce numbers. Here's the thing. He's the most skilled defenseman I've ever seen. I've covered this team since 2000. So he's clearly the most skilled defenseman ever in the organization, more so than Drew. Drew's the better defenseman. Brett has a lot to work with with respect to his defending, getting, physically larger. He's working on his gaps. His gap control is way better than last season. So he's an exciting player for a team, frankly, Jason, that doesn't have a lot of personality. He's got all personality you need. So it's exciting to see what he has done and what he can do. Do I think he's going to be an 80-point? Do I think he's the next Cale Makar or Quinn Hughes? I don't. Do I think he can get to 60 points a season? Without question, I think he can.
Dennis, coaching, it's a tough gig right now. And Jim Montgomery has a really good record, gets let go, but not surprising. I don't think it'll last a week, and he didn't. And he gets scooped up by St. Louis, unfortunately for Drew Bannister. He's gone. I've heard some rumblings right next door to you in Anaheim about Cronin, but they're 500. And you know what? Their young guys are starting to play better. I've heard that there's some guys not happy that, these kind of got an old school approach, but maybe they need that. What do you think? He's on that thin of ice, or does he kind of match what Pat Verbeek wants?
When coaches have old school approaches and they clash with the players, who usually wins? It's not the coach. Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. So, and the guy I look at, Jason, when I look at the body language of Trevor Zegras, he scored a goal the other night in Chicago. He had no facial expression. It was a big goal. He didn't even celebrate. So I think there's a disconnect between the younger generation players and Greg Cronin. But you're right, 9-3. They're -7 goal differential. Their style has been fantastic for this team. They're not expected to make the playoffs. So I don't think Greg Cronin has that pressure. But you have to see progression from this team, because I think they were, 59-point team last season. They're on track to be an 80-point team. Well, that's what you want. So from a progression standpoint, would he keep his job? Yeah. I think what happens, Jason, is at the end of the season, Verbeek's going to have exit meeting with the players, and he's going to take the temperature of the players and see what happens with Greg Cronin, unless they go on a big tailspill. and to relate it back here to LA, that's how Jim Hiller got the job, Jason, to be honest with you. The exit meetings, the players were advocates for Jim Hiller. He got the job. I'm not sure the same advocacy is in Anaheim right now. But again, let's see what happens in the next 60 games. If they're not going to make the playoffs, but if they get to 80 points, there's a case to keep the coach right now.
Dennis, I want to ask you, we're coming up in the Four Nations. The announcement, the rosters have to be in on Monday, then they'll announce them on Wednesday. And I look at Team USA, and obviously, you know what, the exciting team, I look at their blue line, and man, you go down, and geez, puck mover, mobile, all really good, but all smaller defensemen. Right? Like, is that a concern for you for Team USA that they're going to have, great puck movers, but not a lot of size when it comes to having to defend?
Not when Connor Hellebuyck's in goal or Swayman. No, I don't have a concern because Connor Hellebuyck last night, the team didn't show up and he was fantastic. So you're right about that, Jason. The physicality around it will be an issue for the Team America. But I look at the goaltending, and I think there's a substantial advantage there. So it's not a perfect team, right? But again, it's a question of, do you add a depth guy, a physical guy that wouldn't jump at it with respect to his stats or being in a first team? It depends how they build these teams. Do you build them like a classic team where you have a bottom six, where you have a depth defense, where we have some more physicality? So it's a concern. But when I look what's in net, I'm really less concerned about it.
Well, yeah, you've got Ottinger and Hellebuyck, not bad. I know Swayman hasn't had the best year, but he's probably the other guy. Quinn Hughes, Zach Werenski, Adam Fox, obviously are really good. A lot of people think Brock Faber's going to make that team the way he's playing. Yes. Do you think, does Seth Jones get in? What about John Carlson? Is he too long in the tooth?
I don't think I think Carlson would be your 6-7. So I don't think so. And look at the season that team's had. He's still playing at a high level. So that I look at that. I mean, they're a really good defensive team, Jason. They really are. They've turned it. It's a great story in DC. So I think Seth Jones, not so much. Seth Jones, I think, would have to play good for the next 2 weeks leading up here. And the team is, less than mid. So I wouldn't say that. I would say Carlson would stay. If I was picking the team, I would certainly have Carlson over Seth Jones.
You mentioned the Kings in San Jose. He's been injured. He's missed 12 games so far. But when he's played, man, Macklin Celebrini has looked really good for the Sharks.
Yeah, he had a wrist shot that fooled Ridge the other night in San Jose. Yeah, he's dynamic. He's fearless. That's the one thing. And that's the one thing I concern myself with, Jason. These fearless players, they get injured a lot. And that's my one. He's already been injured once. But he is, with him and Will Smith, the future's really bright. Now, there's still a lot of holes to fill on this team, without question, right? But they might be able to do it, add a lot of fill a lot of holes through trading. Because remember, Granlund's had a great season. He's unrestricted at the end of the season. And your two goalies, Blackwood and Vanacek. You can get legit returns for those three players and make them even better. So look, Jason, here's the thing. I watched them last year. I went up in March to San Jose to watch the Kings play San Jose. That was an AHL level team. So I credit Greer for one thing. He went out and got Toffoli. He went out and got Jake Wallman. He went and got Barkley Goodjoe, a great vet for the bottom six. So I credit him for making this team better around these players. But in 3 to 4 years, if Macklin's going to ascend the way I think he's going to ascend, and everybody else does, this is going to be a team that will make the playoffs and maybe do some damage. There's still a bit of ways, but they are certainly markedly improved. And one of the major reasons is Macklin Celebrini up there in San Jose. Yeah,
their biggest problem is they can't retain any salary. So if they're going to trade,
they can't. Right.
They made all those moves. Because there's some guys, like, teams would go out there and they would say, "Hey, I'll take Cody Ceci at $1.5 million down the stretch because I've seen what he's done in the playoffs the last few years." Right, the guy's missed their game 7. He shows up when it matters most, but at 3.25, it's going to be hard to fit him in the roster, right? Unless you can just trade salary back. Which is
a third team, where you get a third team involved to take some as well.
Yeah, third team. Yeah, maybe the third team takes some, but you have to trade them to the third team first for nothing and then retain. Yeah, because they can't retain anything. So
it's tricky. Yeah.
Well, hey, what's your go-to Thanksgiving meal?
A big turkey leg and stuffing, but I'd like plain stuffing. No, nothing in it like onions or anything like or celery. So big turkey leg and stuffing, which I'll have probably in 3 hours at my niece's house here in LA.
Oh, all right, man. Well, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football. And we'll see. The Bears might call a timeout in an hour, Dennis. We'll see. That's
gee, what the? We're both having a better day than Eberflus, for sure.
God, Bears fans have to be beside themselves. That is like you're thinking, oh my God, we're going to come back and win this game against the best team in the NFC. And then you don't even give yourself a chance on that. That was ugly. Awesome, Dennis. Always good to talk hockey with you, man. Have a great Thanksgiving. Appreciate you coming on.
Always great being on 1440, JG. Thanks for the time. See you soon.
I bet you there's Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period. Really good dude, man. Great guy that loves hockey. He can talk it all the time. And you know what? On the West Coast there, for years, you went into LA, Anaheim, and San Jose, and my God, they used to beat you up physically. Like those Sharks were big, and the Ducks were big, and the Kings were big. And now it's, LA's still competitive, of course, and they're good. But, the Ducks and the Sharks have been a long time since they've had much bite. But they're starting to build some guys up. Cutter Gauthier, good player. Celebrini, Smith, they got some guys. I think Zegras is all but good as gone. In Anaheim, I just don't think he fits in there. And I think Trevor Zegras is a player, though, he's going to have to find a little bit more competitiveness. It can't just be all flash and dash. Got to have a little bit of substance with the sizzle. And we'll talk a little sizzle next on The Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
A bedtime story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area, prices exclude delivery.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference. Volvo of Edmonton.
Vimy and Don and Hockey are dedicated to skill development for all hockey players. If you are a student athlete interested in growing as both a person and a hockey player, visit vimyridge.epsb.ca or donnan.ca to register for a free shadow day. Beginner or an experienced player, these programs are designed to nurture and develop your skills in a positive and supportive environment. Vimy and Donnan help student athletes pursue their passion for hockey while achieving their academic goals. Register for a Vimy and Donnan Hockey Shadow Day today.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
Prime Fasteners and Tools, your trusted source for the latest Milwaukee products and deals.
Prime Fasteners and Tools offers power tools, accessories, storage solutions, and the fasteners you need to get your project done on time and on budget. Whether you're a contractor or a weekend warrior, everyone is welcome at Prime Fasteners and Tools. For the best Milwaukee experience, visit Prime Fasteners and Tools, located at 12304 184th Street.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes, better job opportunities with our thriving economy, better chances for advancement, plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service, it's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/betterhere. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Your furnace can die in the blink of an eye, usually on the coldest night. So why take that chance this winter? Furnace Family, ATCO's newest home service company, can help. Not sure of your furnace's condition? We can check it for free with the purchase of a new furnace, giving you peace of mind and total comfort all winter long. Daikin offers lifetime warranty on their furnace heat exchangers. It could be the last furnace you ever buy. So call Furnace Family Home Services by ATCO today. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night, FurnaceFamily.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. This is one big deal for one big pizza. Get an extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Order today at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Thanksgiving Day in the United States. Many of you, that means a little extra time if you're a fan of football. The Giants and the Cowboys. Whole lot of nothing on the line for this game other than pride or maybe in your fantasy league. Good luck. How many fantasy guys do you have from this game? Not a lot. CD Lamb, I would think. Maybe Tracy. Maybe the defenses.
Malik Neighbors.
Oh, yeah, Malik Neighbors.
I did grab the Cowboys defense, so
oh yeah,
we'll see how it works for me.
See what happens. Let's talk a little hoops. Now brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, and it's cold right now, but guess what? Your home will always be warm with Legacy. No payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. And proud to say they are back for Month of Giving. The big package. Month of Giving starts on Monday. So it'll be our 14th annual. Man, time flies. Time flies. Will push us over this year, over 1.5 million raised in the Month of Giving. Pretty awesome. We welcome in Paul Sir, who's actually joining us. Went home to the family ranch down in the United States in Iowa. I'm thinking, so Paul, is there any special Thanksgiving Day meals in Iowa? Or it's Iowa, correct?
It's Iowa, yeah. I'm looking out over the lovely fields on my mom's farm. Brown, gloomy day, but very reminiscent of American Thanksgiving. And it's the usual, and you can't beat the usual of turkey, mashed potatoes, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. So we had a great Thanksgiving dinner. Oh, I love it. Thanksgiving, man. Yeah, I'm a big turkey fan. So it's fantastic for me. Hey, quickly, before we get to the NBA, we obviously the last few years, there's always been a few Canadians that grab our attention at the NCAA levels, men or women. Who are those now that we're kind of into the season that should be starting to keep on our radar for this year? You know what, Jason? This is embarrassing. I researched everything except that today. Okay. So I'm gonna have to a little bit of I guess turkey on my face today. I am not sure who's doing what for Canadians right now, but I promise you next time we talk, I'll have a complete Canadian overview of the NCAA, both men and women. Because I think this year, we have the most ever Canadian men for sure playing. I think it's like 135 if my number is correct.
So like now I don't know how many of them are like impact guys or what levels they're playing at or different things like that. But there's quite a few. I swore I read that last week and I was just like, man, that seems like a big number. So maybe I'll get you to look into it and find out if indeed there's that many and where they're playing. Because I was like, geez, that's a lot of guys.
Well, you know what, though? I agree with you, and I will do that. I will have a great review, men and women, for the next time we talk. But I read the same article or an article similar saying that there were record numbers. We'll look into the impact of these players, certainly. But I remember back in the day when my oldest son, Steve, was in his grade 11 year at Ross Shep, and then we went down to the States for his grade 12 year. But what you had to do north of the border to get players noticed down in the States was monumental. I mean, you had to be literally just working your tail off trying to get any kind of notice. There's no secrets anymore. If you're a good Canadian, people know who you are south, and they're recruiting you because Canada has such a great reputation in the NCAA. Great students, great student athletes. And they're really coveted by so many D1 programs, and that's male and female.
Yeah, I think Will Riley's one of the top guys, so we'll talk about him next week. Now let's get to the NBA, and man, the power struggle in the West and the East. It's been pretty obvious for basically the 21st century where the West has been more dominant, no question. But I want to get to your Wolves because they've got a guy in Mr. Edwards who's not afraid to speak his mind. He's ripping his teammates. It's disrespectful after their loss. What do you make of how their early start has gone in Minnesota? You know, there's lots of hype after what happened last year. And so far to start this season, it ain't good. Like, they're not awful, but at 8-10, I think they're in 13th place.
Well, I think you could weave awful into any conversation if you wanted to. They've lost 4 in a row now, and they've looked bad doing it. Some of the games have been close. They can't finish games. What I thought might happen, I didn't think Randall would be the defensive liability that he is turning out to be, particularly since Karl Anthony Towns was not noted as a good defender. But for whatever the reasons are, the lack of chemistry, and I mean, we're not talking the first 10 games of the season. We're talking, far beyond that now. So it is concerning to be 8-10 and looking bad doing it. Of course, they've had a few injury issues, but nothing catastrophic. Edwards is playing at a pretty good level. We'll see if his words are arrogant or if they're impactful with his teammates. Maybe they're accurate, maybe they're not. I know Jaden McDaniels drives a lot of people nuts down in the Twin Cities because of his inconsistency. Naz Reid isn't Naz Reid this year isn't the Naz Reid last year.
Okay.
Mike Connolly's been hurt and hasn't been the same player when he's been in. And DiVincenzo coming over for the Knicks has been again having a real tough time finding his rhythm. So, yeah, the Wolves are struggling and struggling in a big way. So last year's season's a distant memory, and they're in all hands on deck trying to figure things out quickly and get back on track.
Yeah, and the thing is, because the West is so good, you can't fall too far behind. Otherwise, you got too many teams to catch up to. Like, they got 10 teams already over 500, and that's including the Spurs, who got off to a really slow start and have now heated up a little bit in San Antonio, because there was some concern about the big man, but I think that concern has been quieted down rather quickly.
Well, the big man's pretty good, and he's kind of tearing it up right now. I think he's averaging 3.6 blocks per game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a lot of blocks in a league that won't allow you to play in the paint for longer than 3 seconds. So, and he's really found his stroke from outside. I think last week when we talked about how they changed their offensive strategy to get him to become more of a catch and shoot 3-point shooter rather than trying to create his own 3-point shot. And his percentages have gone through the roof. So you're right. The Spurs are tough. I mean, heck, Phoenix is in 9th place. They're 10-8 with their team. The West is loaded, but some of the teams near the top are a bit of a surprise, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if many people thought the Houston Rockets would be this good. Did you?
No, but they are so far. I mean, 20 games into it, they're the best defensive team in the league, sort of by a country mile. They lock you down. And offensively, they've really started to develop some great chemistry. So the Rockets, yes, they're a surprise, but man, are they a tough out right now for anybody. Anybody who's playing Houston isn't very happy right now because these guys can play. So, but Memphis 12-7, the Lakers have looked pretty good. When Davis is healthy, the Lakers are a pretty darn good team, especially since they moved the rookie Connect into the starting lineup. And, you know, there's been a lot of attention played. I have to give LeBron credit when he talked about the drafting of Connect from Tennessee, of saying, didn't anybody watch him play last year? Why in the world did we get this guy?
Yeah.
They're glad they did, but man, oh man, that kid's going to be a really good player. But the West is intriguing with OKC at the top and Gilgeous-Alexander having another MVP quality season.
What do you think happened in the draft? Why did he drop so far?
Here, I'll give you my irreverent summary of the NBA draft. Is the NBA draft oftentimes is driven strictly and solely by potential and analytics. And Connect doesn't check those boxes. He's older, like he's a fifth or I can't remember if he was a fifth or a sixth-year player because of the COVID year. And, and he's not a super athlete, really good athlete, surprisingly good athlete, but not a super athlete. So a lot of times GMs and the brain trust of NBA go for athleticism, they go for potential, they go for youth. They're drafting a lot of 18 and 19-year-old as opposed to a 24-year-old. But 18 and 19 years old has to turn into 24 years old. Like right now, we're talking a lot about R.J. Barrett really coming into his own. He's been in the league, I think, 6 seasons now, and he's 24 years old. So is there any wonder Connect comes in better prepared to play in the NBA? So I think that's the thing. There's just the NBA tends to go in waves and trends, and right now it's analytics, potential, vertical, speed, all those things. But man, if you can play, you can play, and he can play.
Oh God, yeah, like it's kind of stunning to me. And what a find! Yeah. Sometimes you get lucky like that. Hey, good for them to take him. Well, he probably should, and they took him when he was available. So, you give him all the credits. Like, hey, David Pasternak dropped to 25th in his draft class, and he's a pretty dynamic player. So it happens every now and then. But in a league where usually, like, the best players are usually, there's some guys like Draymond Green, a very good second rounder, Klay Thompson a little bit later. Yeah, so it happens. But usually, a lot of the best guys are taken early in the draft. And give them credit, though. They found him, and it's like they struck gold, man. And he's starting now. You meant like it's not like he's just coming off the bench. He's starting for them.
No, he's a valuable part of the rotation. LeBron trusts him completely. So now you've got I have to give JJ Redick credit since we're on the Lakers, Jason. I wasn't a big fan of that move. I'm not a huge fan of JJ Redick. He kind of lost me when he did the Bob Cousy playing plumbers thing a couple of years ago. But he's done a great job with the Lakers so far. He's taken LeBron out as the primary option, made Anthony Davis their go-to player. LeBron is now freed up to be both a scorer, but more importantly, a playmaker. He's not relied on defensively like he's had to be in the past. And they blended in Connect and the rest of their rotation, getting D'Angelo Russell out of the starting lineups. I think that was a genius move. Lakers are a good team right now. If they, the big if they stay healthy, we'll see how the season unfolds. But so far, they've been fun to watch.
Paul, always good to talk a little hoops with you. We'll do it again. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jason. You take care. Look forward, and I'll have that Canadian report ready next time.
Look forward to it. There we go. That's Paul Serve from the basketball show here on Sports 1440. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Terry Ryan will join us after 3 o'clock. We got a lot of texts coming in about Hyman. I can tell you Zach Hyman did skate today. He's not playing tomorrow. He didn't want to give a timetable on his return, but I will say this. The fact that he's going on the road trip tells me he's close. Because if he isn't going to play in any of those 3 games, usually you don't go. Now, it doesn't guarantee he will play. I don't think I know he's not playing tomorrow. Saturday, I'd be surprised. I think he's going to need a few more skates, but maybe Tuesday because that's still another 5 days. So I think that might be more realistic. The early prognosis was he wasn't going to play on the weekend. But what about Victor Arvidsson? What the hell's going on? That's not good. This keeps dragging out, and that's not ideal. That Kapanen on waivers claim is looking pretty decent for them right now. Let's get to the comments. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice, celebrating 25 years. What an amazing success story. Started right here in Edmonton. Like the home of a lot of great companies that have started here. It's fantastic. And they're bringing back some of their faves. The original, the creamsicle, the marathon. Get yours now. Download the Boosters Reward app or go into Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
According to Justin Duncan, 3-down nation. There's momentum building for Mark Killam as the Edmonton Elks' next head coach. Killam, University of Alberta graduate who played for the Bears from 97 to 2001 as a linebacker and was the team captain, spent the last 20 years in various roles with the Calgary Stampeders. Justin Duncan will join us at 5:20 today in the Canadian Football League free agency period is slated to open February 11th at noon Eastern time. The free agency communication window, which teams can openly speak with pending free agents, will start on February 2nd and wrap up on February 9th. In the NFL, we got 3 games due to American Thanksgiving. Earlier today, the Lions knocked off the Bears 23-20. Right now, Giants on top of the Cowboys 7-3 after a Drew Lock touchdown. And later tonight, you got the Dolphins taking on the Packers. NCAA basketball right now, Purdue leading NC State 71-59, and Illinois up on Arkansas 37-26. Earlier today, Gonzaga gets past Indiana 89-73, and Florida over Wake Forest 75-58. College football, 1 game tonight. Number 17 Tulane hosting Memphis. That'll get going at 5:30. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by our Thursday co-host, former NHLer Terry Ryan. We'll hear the oil report and speed things up in the Cantor Racing Report with Colin Livingston. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Some places offer small Black Friday sales, but at Wolf GMC Buick, we go big, baby. All in-stock 2024 models are on sale. Get 0% financing up to 72 months on the amazing GMC Sierra half-ton. Employee pricing on 2024 GMC Sierra heavy duties and Yukons. 0% financing on Buick Encores. There's even more. Get a limited time offer of up to $1,000 Black Friday bonus on in-stock GMCs, Buick SUVs, and pickups. Wolf GMC Buick, seconds from the Anthony Henday. Get it now, because these deals are on for a very limited time.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
I'm Gene Principe for Legacy Heating and Cooling. Some people think I only know hockey, but I know from the flame in your furnace to your muddy ducts. At Legacy, we never shark our duties. We get cracking and knuckle down to have your heating and cooling systems working right, so you get a comfortable night's sleep. And that's just our division. I mean, a division of Legacy. But let's get to Pacifics. With Legacy, you'll get no interest and no principal payments for 1 year on your new furnace. Legacy, the difference with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
At Papa John's, better is our specialty. Try our butter chicken pizza, the meats, the works, garden fresh, and more. Each special in its own way, just like you. With that ooey, gooey, crispy, crunchy taste, fresh, never frozen dough, and quality topping. Special has never tasted better. And so, for a limited time, get any large specialty pizza for just $17.99 with promo code LG1799 at papajohns.ca. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some Papa John's.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's number one.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Herrischweiner. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree.
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
It might just be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win friends with salad.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
This Saturday, 6 p.m. till midnight. Don't miss the 70th annual Kinsman Radio Auction. The Kinsman Club of Camrose invites you to join the fun and support their largest fundraiser of the year. Bid on a huge selection of items donated by generous local businesses. All proceeds will help the Kinsmen serve our community's greatest needs. The Kinsman Radio Auction. For details, find them on Facebook. You can also join the bidding in person this Saturday night. Main Street, Camrose, corner of 50th and 50th in the former Just For You building.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNuggets, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area, prices exclude delivery.
Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Dr. Vance, does a hair transplant have to look like a hair transplant? There's a guy at work, his is totally obvious.
My goal is to give every one of my patients a full natural looking head of hair, so I stay up to date on the latest innovations. This is science and, more importantly, an art. I do things differently and move more hair than is normally done, resulting in a thicker look that is also more natural.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Get up to $10,104 off select 2024 Sierra 2500 AT4 models. Make loading easier than ever with the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. Make hauling easier than ever with up to 14 available camera views, including transparent trailer view. And make finding tunes easier than ever with a class-leading 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen. Yeah, let's get to work. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
What would it sound like if Alberta breathed a collective sigh of relief? Maybe like, or a little like, we're about to find out. Because Alberta drivers are finally getting some relief on car insurance. Learn how the new Care First model is bringing you more benefits, faster care, and lower cost premiums at alberta.ca/care-first. That's better. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Snow removal contractors and community leagues. The tools you need are available at the prices you want. Now at the Lawnmower Hospital. Save up to $1,300 and get a free Echo backpack blower. All of BCS's industry-leading belt-free snow sweepers are on sale. And you'll get the powerful Echo PB 9010 backpack blower free with select models. Find out more at thelawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Ewell, ewell.ca, your power play partner with a new website that puts the power in your hands with 24/7 ordering and shipping within Edmonton and across Alberta. Score an account today at ewell.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back Thursday afternoon on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. It is the Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you will get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. It's the daily grand also, $1,000 a day for the next 20 years. It's over $7.2 million, buddy. That's pretty good. Get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca, and also $80 million tomorrow's Lotto Max. Good luck. Good luck. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Got a lot of text flying in. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, Zegras reminds me of Anthony Duclair. Took Duclair a while to figure out how to find a spot in an NHL roster. Drouin's the same as well from North Side Sandwich. Yeah, potentially. The thing is, like, Zegras has had 2 60-point seasons. I just look at how his game is evolving, and I haven't seen a lot of growth in his game. There's a little bit of, I found it stagnated. Now, it might be the messaging, Verbeek or a hard-nosed guy. That's not Zegras' style, right? And now this is going to be a little bit of a generic statement, and I'm not painting them all with the same brush because obviously the Tkachuk brothers would be different. But there are a lot of American players who love the individual game who necessarily aren't great in the team game. And when the physicality comes, they're not great at it. That's just a fact. Like, there's more skilled, smaller Americans. Zegras, Caulfield, the Hughes brothers, right? Then there just are, right? There's a lot of them. And there's nothing wrong with it, but I think Zegras is somebody who's going to, he was the YouTube sensation, highlight reel, all, the Michigan, all the great, he's got unbelievable hands. But I don't know how that stuff works on a day-to-day basis in the NHL. You ever see Connor? Like, look at Connor McDavid's moves, right? He's spinning off guys. Like, it's unbelievable footwork. Right? It's not just like, oh my God, look at his great stick. Like, he'll deke guys, don't get me wrong. But I find it different. There's still a little bit of, people might not like it, but there's a little bit of American arrogance in some of the players. And I look at their USA Hockey Development Program, and part of it is that's the type of player they like. And that's okay. Everybody has it. Everybody has certain elements that are just naturally with their country. It's just how it goes, right? Same even, a lot of people say, hey, the Western Canadians, a little bit different than the Eastern Canadian guys. And a guy who played in all parts of the country, Western Canada, of course, grew up in the East Coast, played in the West Coast, played in Montreal and other places. Terry Ryan joins, so he does Tuesday, Thursdays. TR, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, my man.
Okay, wonderful. I got a new mic. I've got plenty to be thankful for, said Bing Crosby in, God, what's the movie? Happy Holidays. It's a classic. It's
Wonderful Life?
No, 1942. 1942. There's a holiday movie.
Oh, buddy, you're a little older than me, clearly.
Holiday Inn. No, I go back and watch my
Holiday Inn.
I'm not trying to be this like.
No, but is it called Holiday? Jerk. Is the movie called Holiday Inn?
Holiday Inn. There it is.
Okay.
Holiday Inn and White Christmas, which is one of the biggest, most famous selling songs of all time, is debuted in that, I believe. Bing Crosby's in it. And like I said, I'm not trying to be this trendy like film guy that just walks in and acts like a, what's the word, elitist or I'm not trying to be, I'm in the film industry. But what I'm trying to say is I love the Maltese Falcon and Citizen Kane, and they're both from right around there. So I've watched a few movies from that time, and that one, although very dated, the other two I'd say are just great movies, and I think that's amazing that they can still stand up. You watch them, and they're just great movies still. That one is dated, but, the debut of White Christmas, and, Bing Crosby is, a bit of a crooner back then that meant something.
Dude, a bit. It's a big-time crooner for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know who I'm talking about, but, that's 35 years before I was even born. But I know that Bing Crosby was quite something, and, it's a delightful movie. There is some blackface in it, but, that's a long time ago, and I wouldn't judge the people around that. Even though it was terrible, it's a terrible thing, but that's the way things worked back then, so I can look beyond that. A lot of people can. If you can't, fair enough, but I don't blame Bing Crosby, or
we have to look at some of the humor in movies in the 90s and what they said. That if people said it now, it's just a different time, and you evolve and learn. And some people say now there's times where maybe there's people a little bit oversensitive. They get offended by everything, and I do think there's some truth to that as well. There's a little bit too high of offensiveness nowadays at times. So we'll see how it goes. But I want to ask your thoughts, TR, on, and you played with a lot of different guys and you've been around the game. Like, is there, like, everybody has a tendency, and there's always exceptions to it, but like I'm not surprised. Like when I look at, people are asking about Trevor Zegras, and his style of game and how he plays, it's the flashy, highlight reel YouTube stuff that doesn't necessarily translate to long-term success. Like he had a good start, but hasn't been able to carry that over at all in the NHL. And the American, especially like their U18 program and everything, like they really, skill is their number one thing, which is great. But they have a lot of the same smaller skill guys, and I'm not sure that translates definitely into playoff success and maybe not even into regular season success. What do you think?
Yeah, and something going back. I remember even my first time playing against the Americans, like Team USA was in under 17, and there always seemed to be a swagger. And I'm like, wow, why do these guys, like, what do they do to deserve this swagger? We're Canada. Now, I'm not looking back at it. It definitely made me get a hate on for them. They were confident. Is that a fault? I don't know. But
cocky and confident can be a very fine line, right?
They really can. And a guy like Matthews, as American, might be confident, and I see Zegras at times as cocky. But I saw Eichel like that when he was 17, 18, and he seems to have grown up. And Zegras doesn't seem to me to have turned that page of boy into man yet. Like at some point. Even Daniel Briere, he wasn't, I don't know why that popped into my head, but I remember being amazed because I watched him in junior. He's a year younger than me, and he was dynamite. He's a little guy. He's not in his nature to be physical, but he knew that he had to do that to play. Just one example. There's lots of these. And, like a Patrick Kane, there's a fellow American, came in, and he's not giving all these bone-crushing hits or anything, but there's a way to adapt to the game respectfully and you learn from leaders. The other thing is Zegras hasn't had many leaders around him. He hasn't done much winning.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Now he's supposed to lead a team, and he's never really he doesn't know what it's like to win. He doesn't even know what it's like to have, a captain for 5 years straight. So I what's his fourth or fifth year? So I don't know. I think it's unfortunate. There's a lot of untapped potential there, but I really don't know if we'll ever see it. Other guys, Connor Bedard's in a bit of a slump in it, but I think we're gonna see he's gonna maximize his potential. He's gonna go at it hardworking and humble, and not just because he's Canadian. I'm sure there's Americans out there that are in the same page. Just Zegras, to me, he's had a swagger that I don't really believe he's ever really earned. And again, part of that's his fault, I guess, but part of it is that he's been just in desolate Anaheim, and who just seemed to be going absolutely nowhere for his entire NHL career.
Yeah, well, the rebuilds take a lot longer than everybody ever wants to admit. And those bottom feeder teams, ask Buffalo, God, they might not be on their second tour. Really, it's 13 years. But Patrick Kane, I found like Kane was different. Like Kane, when he get the puck, he was such a smooth skater. And man, I still, for the longest time, I found Patrick Kane with the puck on his stick in the offensive zone was the most dangerous player in the National Hockey League. And when he would come TR and he would get the puck at the hash marks, and they would circle up high and get speed going, oh, you could just see defenders being like, oh my God, it's like they were on ice but with skate guards. And he was so done. Like obviously McDavid's taking that mantle over, and McKinnon, although McKinnon's more off of the rush where he'll just murder you. But Patrick Kane in the zone might have been the most dangerous player in the NHL for a long time.
Absolutely beautiful to watch. And by extension, another left shot forward that I used to watch circle the zone and just be in awe was Pavel Bure. I played with Valerie, so I had eyes on Pavel all the time. I mean, he was one of the best in the world. But, his agility and just he would have it on his stick, and it seemed like it was on his stick more than anybody else every single game. And just start circling the zone. And those guys, it's not like they didn't go into traffic. They just went in and out, and they were like little water bugs. But they didn't, they went into traffic. I'm not sure about Zegras. Doesn't seem like he loves that. You don't have to get a lot of penalty minutes. I'm just saying you don't even have to initiate a lot of
high traffic areas if you want to score goals. That's just
you got to do it. Kane gets a lot from in by the net.
Oh God,
right? Yeah. Just knows when to go there. There's times to take a beating and times not to, but or at least to go into the traffic and risk it. But, for Zegras, I don't know. To me, he's always on cruise control, and he doesn't, I think there's potential there, and I think in the right team, if the right, like a buddy of mine, Danny Cleary. Danny was lost his first 3 or 4 years. Lost. I mean, Zegras exactly. Not even. He wasn't even doing that because he was up and down and in and out. He didn't know what was happening.
Like
Whatever happened
with 60 points like twice. Like he's had some pretty good years early.
What's that? Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry. I know he did, and it just seems like he's fallen. Danny didn't quite have that, but the parallel that I'll make is that, I mean, in a couple of big time years when he first came in, he did in junior. But when Danny went to Detroit, something, and again, I've never really asked him who. It just seems that, I just spent some time with Darren McCarty. That must have helped. Darren seemed like a good leader. You got like guys like Yzerman and Datsuk, and I don't know. People don't love Mike Babcock, a lot of them, but some players say that they needed it, and I think Danny needed a guy like that.
Danny also was very open about the fact that he sobered up, right? Like that played a big part.
That it definitely played a big part. Meeting the, but I remember seeing Danny when he went whatever year he was out in Edmonton. He was there working hard in the summer, and Danny. Was I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I knew him back here in the summers. I mean, I was the one that turned Mike Barnett onto him, or my dad was, and he was really irresponsible with drinking, but he wasn't like every day like I need booze. He'd go out and stay out on whatever practice, but like he wasn't this problem child that was always drunk. He drank a little bit too much.
Just a binge drinker. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing in Newfoundland that kind of often goes unnoticed because, boozing is part of the culture so much. I love it. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Friday, we're all going down and we're all going to go to a bar and listen to some tunes. And a lot of them will be Irish. And, it's a very Irish kind of pub kind of culture. Right. So binge drinking is often like, if I go out on Friday, I won't notice, I say I got hammered. Yeah, I might have 12 drinks or something. I don't know what, maybe more if I'm there all day, but I wouldn't notice if a buddy has a problem because we're all kind of binge drinking. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then Danny was like that. Like we would go to Brainerd, we'd go to camp and work hard, and drinking wasn't really a part of it. But he also needed to just grow up. And I'm not saying Zegras does. I don't know him as a person. But whatever happened over there, Danny got his sights focused, and he became a different player, a two-way player nonetheless. I never thought I'd see that. That would fight if he had to, go to those hard areas. And if you'll notice, in junior, he had a lot of points. He was highly touted, but he wasn't quite that guy that he became in Detroit. So, who knows? Maybe Zegras needs some good leaders, needs a winning atmosphere. I don't know. Maybe needs a change of scenery, but I think now it's safe to say that it's gone stagnant. It's a stale relationship that they have.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And it's one, and sometimes you just need a change, right? Lots of players, lots of humans, you need a change at certain times, whether it's work, relationship, whatever it is. And that's one that seems destined for a change. The problem for Anaheim is the longer it goes, just his trade value just continues to drop. And the team that acquires him probably is going to get a highly motivated player. And I've talked to a lot of players, Terry. You played with lots of them that they didn't think anything. Sometimes you don't realize it's you, right? You want to blame everybody. Coach isn't giving me chances, this or that. Then all of a sudden, maybe now this wouldn't be a big surprise if he got traded. But sometimes when a guy gets traded, all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, they didn't want me, and it kind of snaps them out of like, okay, maybe I'm not the perfect player that I think I am.
Well, yeah. And he's motivated to some degree. He wouldn't be where he is. So I really think a change of I was one of them. My career didn't come to fruition like I wanted it to. But if people had judged me just on my public comments and back then social media wasn't really a thing. And, my time in Montreal and because a lot of the public stuff would probably be with Michel Therrien, and a lot of people would probably paint me in the corner of a bad attitude. And I still say part of it was me. I should have gone back to camp, and I didn't. I didn't have that So I don't want to sit here and just throw all this garbage at Zegras. But really, I wish that I had had a situation where I could have really just gone to another team uninjured and just had someone had confidence in me. And I think just being just being a player that has passion and pride in yourself, which I'm sure he does. I agree with you. I think like 90% when he gets changed, when traded or whatever might happen, I think a change of scenery is going to help him a lot. I mean, he's a great player, just that seems that all that greatness is trapped somewhere now in the depths of obscurity, but it's there. And, I think someone's going to benefit from that at some point. It might not be the Anaheim Ducks.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. We got more to chalk on the National Hockey League. We'll also hear from head coach Chris Nowak on Zach Hyman, who did skate, so he's on the road to recover. At least you're seeing him. Arvidsson, nowhere, so that's not ideal. I think, obviously, Hyman being on the ice first means he's likely to return first, not tomorrow. I'd be a little surprised Saturday, but I guess I can't rule it out. Tuesday would seem maybe the most likely. Get to all that and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll keep your text coming, 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
When interest rates are low, that's a good time to buy a vehicle. And 0% means it's a great time to buy. Right now, St. Albert Dodge can set you up with 0% financing on hundreds of vehicles. Virtually all new 2024 models. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0%. Dodge Durango and Hornet. 0%. Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 trucks, all as low as 0%. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Mr. Rooter plays a video game.
This is wonderful. A world where a plumber is the hero. My hat is off to you, Mario. Although I personally advise against eating any mushrooms found in a drain pipe. I won't make that mistake twice. All I've got to do now is hop over this Goomba and save the princess. What? No way. I pressed jump.
For a super plumber with an all-time high score, call Mr. Rooter.
It's Black Friday at the Brick. Doors open at 7 a.m. and the first 10 customers in line will receive a $50 credit to use towards any purchase. Plus, incredible door crasher specials until 9 a.m. Like free local delivery on purchases over $499. Friday only. Save 65% off sofas when you buy the matching Love Seater chair. Plus, buy any TV or appliance and get a $50 credit on furniture, decor, and mattresses. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team at Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
329. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Terry Ryan's here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Face. It's funny when I see Mick Jagger and I just think of him on stage. So when I think of TR doing karaoke, I could see him kind of, body language similar to Mick Jagger. Is that fair, TR?
Well, I mean, I'll take that as a compliment. Mick Jagger's still going.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got his own style, but women seem to love him. The boys seem to say he's a great bandmate, good guy. Given the fact he's a billionaire, whatever, that's a little bit of a disconnect. But hey, I'll take a comparison to Mick Jagger at any point for sure. I don't quite dance like that, but I wish I did.
Well, you got the tight jeans though, so you like that. That's it. Well, maybe that's Strutty more than you with the Strutty loves the Jagger jeans.
I do bring them out, but I call mine the Dwight Yoakams because I wear any tight jeans I have. I wear them with cowboy boots.
All right,
it's a nod to Dwight Yoakam more than.
Do you tuck them in your cowboy boots or out?
Oh, never. No, and you got to get the right cut too. A lot of people wear like big bell-bottom style things. They don't look good either. You got to get the right boot cut.
Yeah.
Just barely, not way too tight, but they can't be really loose. You got to show off the boot. It's got to be an extension of your leg.
TR, I don't know if you saw Mr. Lindgren with the sick own goal last night. The goaltender for Washington. Just you don't see that very often. No, now they win that game. How often in video over the next few days are they sitting down and having a riot because you won the game? So now that's got to be more open season than ever. Like you got to have memes going around or something on your team. Like that's for the next week. Lingard's got to be hearing about that. Does he not?
And like he did it so nonchalantly. Like he was aiming. Like I know what happened. Like he was aiming to the side of the net. But I mean, God, you're cutting that close. Like it wasn't that awkward of a shot. It went right into the net. I don't know what he was thinking, but I'll tell you this. Oh yeah, I mean you're fodder then for the rest of the year. But we lost the game. I was playing a different level, of course, senior hockey, but it was the provincial championship, the Herder we call it. We lost the chance to go to the Allen Cup largely because of this. It was game 6, and we were up late in the game by a goal, and we had a power play, and it was a late call, right? So we pulled the goalie to get 6 out there. So now we're winning game 6 with only like 2 minutes and change left anyway. But my winger, Darren Colburn, my centerman, I should say, who's got, I think, the record of all-time goals in the ECHL. I know he has 390-something goals. He was the leader. Might be broken now, but anyway. And anyway, he was coming behind me, and I dished it back to him. And he didn't even know. He just figured I was rushing it into the zone, threw it in my own net. They score in overtime. They win game 7. Yeah, Deer Lake Red Wings. No joke. So I've been there. I know it's a different level, but the place was packed. We all wanted to win. I lost our team a shot at the Allen Cup.
Oh my goodness. Whew. How long did it take you to get over that one?
Well, I had to get over it quick because game 7 was the next night, but we lost that one. And but still, I mean, had I not done that, we would have won. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm still over it. You absorb all that stuff, but I'm a firm believer in what doesn't kill you makes you stronger because of all those years. I got all these wins in pro hockey. I have a win in Orlando, and the World Under 18, I have a win. In ball hockey, right? 3 world championships, a couple of nationals, but people forget how many times you go to these things. For each time I've won, I've got 3 or 4 losses, and some of those losses are like missing a penalty shot in overtime and putting it in my own net. I nearly cost Team Canada last year. That I told you when I went to the Masters, when I started doing this show, the Masters Worlds.
Yeah,
and we were up 3-1. USA dropped their pulled their goalie and scored twice, and then in overtime, I took a penalty, whacked the guy over the head, trying to transfer my stick over his head. What do you do? If they hit the post, we ended up winning in a shootout, but I've been on the losing end just as many times. So. Yeah, they say you got to have thick skin. You really do. It's not always like taking heat from your coach or your critics. It's like, you got to have thick skin because at some point you're going to cost the team a game and hopefully not a championship.
Looking at last night's game, the Oilers have all this rest. And now they're going to take on Utah, who's decimated already. Two of their top defensemen are out. Bortuzzo didn't finish the game, only played 4 minutes in Montreal. There was a knee-on-knee collision, and then he's day-to-day, so I don't think he's in. They're kind of surprising to me because they're not an overly physical team. But Utah is the most penalized team in the NHL in the month of November. They've taken 42 penalties. They've allowed 10 power play goals, which obviously is not number one. You never want to take too many penalties. And sure as heck, if your team taking a lot of penalties, you don't want to be bad in the penalty kill because that's a death zone for you. And like the Oilers, all this film work, everything else, like, man, tomorrow is a huge opportunity. I look for Edmonton. Like after 5 days rest, TR, in the regular season, like these guys will feel, this might be the most fresh they'll feel the rest of the year, other than maybe after the Four Nations for everybody but McDavid and whoever else plays. But like, how much do you feel rest is that big of a deal at this point? And like, should the Oilers just come out guns a-blazing tomorrow?
Yeah, yes. Wait, the answer is, I think, is yes, they should. And to answer the question, I know there's a break in Four Nations Cup, but by that point, you've played way more games. I remember every year in January and February going like, oh God, I need a break. Right. And so right now, I think is just a timely break because, you know, we're not too far in, but far enough that there's some injuries, of course, even outside of that. You know, you're tired, but the whole season, that tumultuous ride hasn't really kicked into high gear yet. So you can get that little break and get a one-up on some teams. Everybody's going to be tired in a few months. And when the Four Nations happens, I mean, we don't really know. That there could be a whole different set of circumstances for a whole different slew of teams. Who knows? There's a lot to happen between now and then. But I know right now, this seemed like a great time for the Oilers to have a break. It's the advantage of playing so many games. So, yeah, and the other thing is that when that happens, the opposing teams know that, right? And they're all going to be, it's like reverse psychology. They're going to be going, okay, boys, they're well rested. They're going to come out hard, so we got to come out harder. And I don't know. I don't watch Utah much, but I see they do have a lot of penalties. Is that part of their strategy to just go hard and whack and hook and hold and hit? And I don't really know. But if it is, if they take a lot of penalties, you know they're coming out fairly hard. And if they've been halfway successful with the team they have, I believe that they're going to at least work hard. So, yeah, if I'm the Oilers, I mean, I used to love these games coming back. If you treat your body well, not that I always did, but we're all in the same boat. It was all relative back in the day. But if you take advantage of those days, then, you know, you should be really, really ready to hop, which is kind of a rare thing in the long hockey season.
Well, the one guy to watch, TR, and because I had to double check my stats on this. So he's a rookie defenseman, Maverick Lamoureux. He's only 20 years of age. He's 6'7", 220 pounds. And he's played 15 games now for them. He's got a goal and 2 assists. So not bad numbers for a rookie D-man. But he's taken 10 minor penalties in the last 7 games. Roughing, hooking, cross-checking, everything else. And, you know, bigger guy, when you're 6'7", like sometimes you'll get the benefit of the doubt. Lots of times you won't, right? Like you hit a guy, and if you're 5'11", you hit the same guy, you might get away with it. The 6'7" guy who's out there and is very noticeable. And I just look, and if you're the Oilers, I'll be at like 10 minor penalties in 7 games, dude. Like that just doesn't happen in the NHL. So I look at, there was only 2 other players who had 10 minor penalties all month in the NHL. So I look at Lamoureux tomorrow near the Oilers. I try to attack a guy who right now he's a rookie, you know, maybe the speed of the game. He's 6'7". You know, there's some issues there, but you got to go after him. I would get in that guy's face with the puck as much as I could.
Yeah, and you know, that's a great point about that he's taken penalties and he's young. And for that reason, I would. Traditionally, I used to look up and I used to always say, I don't know, a guy like Hal Gill, or you know what, a good example, I think I've used it before, Corey Cross. You would never hear that. You would think, wow, how is he even in the NHL? He's not a great, you know what, though? He was covered so much space that, you know, you'd look up and the instinct wouldn't go, and he wouldn't take a lot of penalties like that. So he was very effective. And I won't name names, but there's players I've played with that are and the coaches, I remember saying, Bob Laux being one of them, hey, you know, like, you shouldn't be taking hooking penalties. You're 6'6", right? Yeah. So if they are, then you're doing something right, because I've always thought that. I'm like, you know, I get that you might hit somebody and the ref might be biased just because of it. It might be subconscious. You might, your elbow might come up because you're taller. But when those big guys start taking slashing and hooking penalties, then you're in their kitchen. And yeah, if it's me and it's the NHL and, obviously 6'7" helps them. But often guys that big are there a little bit prematurely. That doesn't mean they're bad for the team or anything. I remember Kyle McLaren, my age, there you go. I thought he was in the NHL a little bit premature. Not that he shouldn't have been there because he's working himself into something, but he was just a little bit skinny and raw at the time. But, I'm not saying he wasn't effective or that he wasn't a great player. I just noticed it. And now I the same sort of thing. It's one thing to be 6'7", and it can definitely get you an early pass to the NHL. But if I'm on the opposition, I'm going, okay, like, gimme. Throw it in his corner every time. Make him make a mistake. That's what he's supposed to do, right? Throw it in his corner. Try to go around him. Just, it's not going to be easy against someone that big. But if you got a good work ethic, then, and he's taken that many penalties, then you should probably, you probably will gain from going hard at him.
TR, good stuff, buddy. We'll chat with you at the in the next hour as we're going to go racing with Colin Livingston next on the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, and Orders Nation YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Volvo of Edmonton.
The Jedi return to Rogers Place.
Star Wars and hockey fans unite. This Sunday, it's a royal battle where your Edmonton Oil Kings look to trap the Brandon Wheat Kings in carbonite.
There will be a Star Wars themed poster giveaway, character meets along the concourse, plus force grab Calamont Kids food combos for $10 or less.
Edmonton Oil Kings Star Wars game versus the Brandon Wheat Kings. Wookiee-sized family fun.
Sunday afternoon at 4. Great family entertainment at Rogers Place starts at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously. The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNuggets, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area. Prices exclude delivery.
River Cree is the place for all your favorite sports. River Cree Resort and Casino, featuring UFC action and boxing live on the big screens at TAP 25, the MVP of sports bars, and in the Center Bar. Plus, catch this fall's biggest games. Every goal, every tackle, every slam dunk. River Cree is also home to the Twin Rinks, where rec hockey and community teams come to play. Public skating available. Details at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Busy Thursday afternoon. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. Hope you're having an awesome day. We got Knobloch coming up talking about Zach Hyman. Spoiler alert, he's not playing tomorrow. But he's on the ice, so that is a good sign. And the question really, we'll get into that a little bit later on. Zach Hyman on the Four Nations team. He hasn't had a good start, but is 16, 18 games enough to knock him off the team? I wouldn't think so. Because it's not like he played poorly, he just didn't finish, which is a pretty important part of the game. I understand it. But I still think Zach Hyman next Wednesday is when the announcement's going to be for the four teams. I think he's going to be on that team. I think Bouchard will be in tough, not because Bouchard isn't a good player, but Canada's right defense, I think Makar and Pietrangelo are 1-2. And Makar is going to be on the power play. So because Bouchard doesn't kill penalties, now he's going to play 5-on-5, and he's a great puck mover. I think him, Noah Dobson, Dougie Hamilton, they're going to be battling. It's going to be fascinating to see who they take on the team. Obviously, Oilers fan, you'd want Evan Bouchard there. You want him around that experience, no question. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. But first, let's go racing. In the Racing Report, brought to you by Cantork. They offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com. Colin Livingston back in studio, traveling the globe. You got to love it, 30-hour time zone change. That's a lot of fun, isn't it? I never done it, but
man, it's hard on an old guy. 7 days and go plus 15 and minus 15.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've done that. I've gone like plus 30 to minus 30. That's even worse.
Plus 15 hours and minus 15
okay.
coming back.
Okay,
yeah, in 7 days.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. Get a lot of sleep.
No, I don't. I lay in bed like wide awake, even though I take the sleeping aids till like 2-3 o'clock. Then, go absolutely comatose until my phone starts buzzing at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then try and drag my backside out of bed and mosey into the office eventually.
Now in F1, we'll talk about it. Max wins a championship, and kudos to him. It had a great start to the season. Then Norris and them came on, but the last few weeks here, he's shown his driving prowess. No, it's well earned. There's no question about it. But F1, they had the FIA had they fired one of their race directors a while back, and then moved their F2 director into F1. But today, their F2 director was fired, leaving the new F1 director to do F1, F2, and the F1 Academy, the female series, this weekend. So why the mass firings of the director? What's going on?
This is this seems to be the sole direction of the FIA president, Mohammed bin Saliem. As race stewards and race officials are truly supposed to be independent from anything else around them. Yes, there's rules that have to be applied, and yes, they still have to answer to other people, but the president of the FIA should not be getting involved in decisions, should not be getting involved in what's happening on the track.
Right.
And because in his opinion, in the president's opinion, these people are acting outside of what he wants to see. And the fellow that was dismissed 2 races ago, Niels Wittek, was quoted this week and basically said he's getting personally involved, maybe not directly, but through his staff on the operation of what we're doing. And, basically stated that that's really unprecedented. But big picture, it's almost suicidal to skid all these people in such short order because you're not happy with what they're doing. You can't replace a race director overnight.
Yeah.
Moving from a series like F3 to F2 is a massive step. Going from F2 to F1 is an even bigger step. And to make such sweeping changes where now the fella, I think his name is Rui, who's moved into the F1 race director role, to not just force him into that role, but because you've got absolutely nobody else to fill in, forcing him to do the F2 race as well as a third series in the same weekend. This is beyond unacceptable. it might seem like it's a little bit of work or a little bit. This is not a little bit of an adjustment. Like this is essentially asking a forward to play 57 minutes a game. Like it's unthinkable to put this kind of pressure. And not to mention, these guys, these officials are not just working within F1, F2, F3. He also had to do the race at Macau the weekend before, which was an FIA sanctioned race. So like going from Macau to Vegas to Qatar, and then in one weekend, like it's beyond unacceptable.
Yeah, it seems very strange. In the meantime, Verstappen claims his fourth driver championship, and well earned. The weekend didn't start very great for them with the wrong rear wing, but they were able to overcome it. The discussion is they're going to say, what are we doing with Perez? Like, there's not much to talk about. Max, he's well deserving of the win, but the Perez situation is interesting because he got knocked out of Q1 again.
Yep.
6th time this season, and finished 10th in the race. Do you think, because they've made a lot of comments, but there's kind of a lot of drama in F1, and sometimes they like to make the drama. They love the drama, and then nothing ever comes of it. Do you think Perez and Red Bull are going to part ways? And if so, who would they bring in to replace him?
Whether they outright sack him or not, I think they pretty much have to. He brings a lot of sponsor dollar to the table, but at the same time, what he's cost them in crash damage plus costing them their position, they should have fairly easily won the Constructors Championship. I saw a stat. I should have got it written down, but they've actually compared Perez's difference to Max over the last bunch of years. I mean, his average time difference from where Max finishes to where he finishes this year is something like 28 seconds behind. In reality, that's almost not really a second, but it's over half a second a lap that he's slower than Max consistently throughout the year. Now, is Max just that good?
Maybe.
He's good, but Max is also not finishing ahead of the Ferraris a lot of the time. He's not finishing ahead of the McLaren. He's not finishing, he wasn't able to keep up with the Mercedes, who just happened to find a setup that worked when it was like 6 degrees or 8 degrees outside. The big picture, I mean, I refer to him as Skeletor just because he's just such a crotchety old man, but Helmut Marko, one of the advisors to the Red Bull team, first of all, he says a lot of stuff in public that really should be kept behind closed doors. I mean, whether people know or not, every race team has knock them out, drag out fights.
Oh, yeah.
When you're in the debrief room, when you're in the hauler, it doesn't matter what series you're at, when you get behind closed doors, it's no holds barred. And every race team, I don't care what they say, they have these conversations. But that conversation has to stop when you get in front of a TV camera, when you get back outside where anybody could possibly overhear. Helmut Marko made the comment this week telling the Red Bull employees that the reason why they won't get their bonus this year was exclusively because of the performance of Perez, because he wasn't able to keep up. That cost them, upwards of $18 to $20 million in constructors prize money. Like, whether and again, just like they talked about Ricardo, just like they talked about Albon, just like they talked about all these other drivers that have fallen off the grid, why would you want to be there? Like, yes, it's a ride and everybody will take it because it's an opportunity to show what you have. But if you're just not on the cutting edge with those guys, they absolutely eviscerate you.
Yeah. Well, he does kind of throw his teammates under the bus somewhat. I know they're not teammates, but it's like a coach coming out publicly and saying, hey, you know what? We didn't make the playoffs this year because this guy, this turnover in this game, and like, you wouldn't say it.
Because so-and-so didn't pull their weight. They didn't play at a high. It was this one guy. Goalies tend to bear the burden because they're the obvious one that lets the goal in. And that's just part of goalie life. But the fact that this guy is a special advisor, he should have enough common sense. Like there's a way that you can use the press to motivate people or to try and get in the heads. But this is just like they've just cut his legs out from underneath him.
Yeah. And so is there a timeline on when they have to make that decision?
They can make it anytime they want. It's just a matter of what it costs because he's still under contract. But they've said that they've got a meeting scheduled after the final race in Abu Dhabi where all the shareholders are going to get together and try and figure out what's best for the team.
So how does it work? So he has a year left on his deal, correct? He has 1 year. So let's say they decide we're getting rid of him. It's like a guaranteed contract. He still gets paid out? Or how does that work?
Just depends on the wording because I think they have clauses in their contract that says he's got to be within a certain distance to Max to have that contract enforced.
Okay.
And he's got to hold like within wherever Max's position, I'm making this up, but he's got to be within 6 positions in the drivers.
Yeah.
I think they've got outs. They won't be able to get out for free, but they've got, Yuki Tsunoda, they've got Liam Lawson, they've got some really talented F2 drivers that can move into the RB seat and they can potentially move somebody into the Red Bull seat. They keep talking about Colapinto, but based on I mean, he's
not, I don't think he's ready yet.
He's done a lot of damage in a real short amount of time.
Yeah. And which, you know what, lots of potential.
Yep.
But he's done a lot of damage. Now the one thing that's still the constructor series is up for grabs, and there's huge money here on the line when you look at it. Now the top 3 teams where that's you're making 120 to 140 mil for those teams. It's pretty massive, but you've got McLaren. Red Bull doesn't look like they got a chance now to get into that, especially the way Perez is racing. But when you look at McLaren and you look at Ferrari and kind of what's unfolded here the last few weeks, what's your thoughts on that? And who do you like down the stretch?
It's really tough to tell because the last 2 races have been like extremely weather dependent. Brazil was all rain for the race, so the results are kind of skewed there. Vegas was so cold, the cars didn't act typically, but Ferrari's been really hot since the break, and they managed to kind of finish one position behind the other, separated by no more than 1 position. They've really, really got the momentum, and if they have the kinds of weekends that they've had, they could theoretically knock McLaren out of the way. All McLaren has to do, though, the next 2 races are in Qatar and in Abu Dhabi. They're the next 2 weekends in a row. The weather's going to be similar between, and these are where McLaren has tended to do a little bit better. So as long as they can kind of find their stride, they're not going to get steamrolled. It's going to be really interesting, and that's kind of the last battle. I mean, I'm still kind of watching the midfield battle where Alpine jumped from nowhere to 6th in the constructors, fell back to 7th after last weekend, but they're only 1 point behind. I think it's RB for 6th, so that's going to be fun to watch.
Now, you've kind of done the rundown of damage on vehicles and everything, and Williams is obviously up there. Perez, of course, is up there. We have Carlos Sainz going to Williams next season, and it's been Williams used to be the top dog, and it's been a long time since they've been the top dog. And I'm not saying Perez can do it, but is there any reason to believe that we can see could Perez be a contender at all next year? Like, when I say contender, Sainz, sorry.
Yeah.
Like a top 5 guy on a regular basis. It's just unrealistic.
I think that's overshooting for sure, but this is going to be now next year will be either the 2nd or 3rd year that James Vowles has been the head of Williams, former Mercedes guy. They still run the Mercedes power plant. They're going to keep moving forward. I think this year they really got knocked back with poor performances from Logan Sargent throughout the year, who had a lot of crash damage. I think Williams is, we don't know what the actual numbers are. Reportedly, they've racked up just over $10 million in crash damage. Colapinto is already 6th on the list of crash damage, and he's only done 7 races.
Impressive.
And they have 3 of the top 6. So Sargent's still in there. Albon's up there. That has a massive impact on what the team can spend on development.
Yes.
Like right now, they can't develop this year is for all intents and purposes done, but there's been a lot of question whether or not they can actually field the team with the parts that they have left, because they can't keep spending money that they don't have, or they risk breaking the cost cap at $135 million, which is going to have even more penalty for next year. So going to be interesting. They have to really adjust the way that they race. So, their drivers aren't driving over their head, but top 5, I don't think so.
Okay. Like, I'm curious. He's a pretty good driver. Like, but I know the car plays a factor and then everything else, and then money and all that stuff. And I just like, what is it going to take for Williams to get competitive again?
It'll take a couple years. They've got good people. They've got good equipment. They just need to manage their resources a little bit better. I mean, Sainz is very crash prone as well.
Yeah.
And he's been in a car that's been moderately competitive. Next year, he's going to be in a car that likely won't be as competitive, which will probably mean he's going to be overdriving again to try and get back. So, unless he can, I mean, one thing I say often with the racers I work with is you can only take what the car will give you. The idea of trying to drive at 105% just doesn't work. And it's not worth it to risk crashing, because then you walk away with nothing. And, especially when what we do in NASCAR, our budgets are next to nothing compared to an F1 team. We make a little mistake and we can walk away with a $15,000 or $20,000 repair bill. That's almost 10% of our season in one issue, and we don't get the prize money that these guys make. So I mean, it's really important to really figure out what the limit of the car is and to stay within it.
Okay. Colin, great stuff, man. We'll chat with you next week. Get some sleep.
It was great to be back.
There you go. That's Colin Livingston in the Racing Report, brought to you by Cantork. Let's get to Connor Halley, Sports 1440 update, brought to you by Fountain Tire, where stop in right now and you can save up to $225 off select set of 4 tires, including Goodyear. FountainTire.com, where you find a location near you.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Thanksgiving south of the border. That means we've got 3 football games today earlier on. Here's the Detroit Lions getting past Chicago Bears 23-20. Caleb Williams throwing 3 touchdowns, 2 to Keenan Allen in the loss. Right now, Giants trail the Cowboys 13-10 in the second quarter. Later tonight, you got the Dolphins and the Packers going at it down in Lambeau. Kickoff set for 6:20. From the CFL, Justin Dunk reporting that there is more momentum building for Mark Killam as the next Edmonton Elks head coach. Killam is a University of Alberta graduate who played for the Golden Bears from 1997 to 2001. Also was a team captain. He spent the last 20 seasons with various roles in the Calgary Stampeders organization. Justin Dunk will join us at 5:20. Also from the CFL, the league's free agency period is slated to open February 11th at noon Eastern time. Free agency communication window, which allows teams to openly speak with pending free agents, will open on February 2nd and run through the 9th. Men's basketball at the collegiate level today. Illinois right now on top of Arkansas 75-62. You also have Arizona trailing Oklahoma 28-20, and BYU leads Ole Miss 22-16. Earlier today, Gonzaga gets past Indiana 89-73. Florida over Wake Forest 75-58, and NC State falls to Purdue 71-61. One game on the football side of things. Number 17 Tulane hosting Memphis. That'll start at 5:30. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Ryan Pike from Flames Nation. More with Terry Ryan, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there, now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies, like the original, the Orangesicle, and the Marathon, made with cranberries, bananas, strawberries, orange sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands
Great to be
on
back.
the
There you go,
OTR
that's up.
stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by Nisku Ford today, and we'll show you how to take advantage of November rebates of up to $10,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes, better job opportunities with our thriving economy, better chances for advancement, plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service. It's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/betterhere. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 4 o'clock. Welcome back. Ooh, man, nothing like a good pianist. We're having an awesome day. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. A lot of texts flying in. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox. Your partner in power since 1975, supplying all the electrical gear that you need. Order online now, even easier. EWEL.ca. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And it is Thursday. And hey, that's my favorite game that I've yet to win. But one of these days, the Daily Grand. You get $1,000 a day for 20 years. Oh, God. I know some people like Gregor take the lump sum. No, I kind of like working. So I enjoy it. I'm lucky I have a job I like. So I guess now I'm not sure. I've got 20 more years left. I'll be honest about that. But keep working for a bit. Just wake up, $1,000 a day, smile on my face. Doesn't matter. I'm in a good mood. So that's why I want to win it. Just to have it. Now, can I do it for a year and then take the lump sum? Maybe. We'll see. Hey, fellas, who has a better chance of Four Nations, Bouchard or Hyman? Oh, Hyman for sure. Only because the Hyman is, fourth high scoring. Okay, and there's 4, 8 winger jobs, but 4 right wing jobs. There's only 3 right defenseman jobs. And I think there's 1 right defense job because Makar and Pietrangelo, they've locked up the first 2 right spots. No one, even the most ardent Bouchard fan is not saying I'm taking Makar or Pietrangelo after Evan Bouchard, right? They're just not. So there's the one spot. And then there's Evan Bouchard, and there's Dougie Hamilton, and there's Noah Dobson, and Mackenzie Weegar's probably in that conversation for one spot. Now, you could be the number 7 on the roster. And even, you know what? I'll say this. Now, Evan Bouchard, yeah, I think you just to be around the team and in that situation, man, you could be a sponge and you can learn a lot. Now, keep in mind, Bouchard's went to Stanley Cup final, Game 7. Like, he's played in pretty pressure-packed situations and done quite well. But when it's the best of the best, you want to be there. It's a boost to your confidence for sure, but you also can learn a lot of things. So I think the Oilers would love it if he was there. McDavid's going for sure. I think Ekholm's making Team Sweden. And I think Hyman's going to make Team Canada. Bouchard, he's in the mix. I can't say for sure if he's going to make it, but he's in the mix. And we'll see what happens from there. But hey, Gregor, I bet Hyman isn't on the first name team. Well, they already listed the 6 guys. That was already listed. Now they got to name their final roster. Now you have opportunities of injuries and stuff like that, but yeah, they'll name the roster coming up on Wednesday, and he'll be on there. Hey, Gregor, I'll bet you $25 charity, and if I'm right, I get a hat. We'll think about that. For charity, sure, we'll think about it. Let's talk a little hockey now as we go in the room. Brought to you by Action Electrical, where, hey, did you know you got commercial building? You're getting solar on it? The federal government, you got a savings of 30%. You can get taken off that. Huge deal. Find out how to use that. Go to actionelectrical.net, and they can help you out. As Ryan Pike joins us from Flames Nation down in Calgary. Flames, of course, having a very good start. Piker, how you doing, man?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. The Calgary Flames, they've been very consistent. They're getting good goaltending, and they can't score more than 3 goals in a game. And so, it's pretty consistent for it. But, as good as Wolf has been, and even Dan Vladar to a lesser extent, at some point you kind of got to give your goalies a little bit of breathing room. So is this Flames team, are you concerned that it's a little bit of misleading because the offense, what is it, 18, 19 straight games without scoring 3 goals in regulation or overtime? 4?
I think they're up to 20 now.
20. Okay.
Yeah, I think the 3rd game of the season they managed to crack 3 goals, and then since then. But no, if you look at the prognostications from folks, the Athletic and other places, the Flames of the Western Conference teams that are currently in playoff spots have the lowest chances of making the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I think it's partially because they're extremely reliant on good goaltending. But that they've up until recently their power play has been bad, and now it's sort of got hot, and now it's slightly below average. And the players that you would hope to have strong offensive seasons, Nazem Kadri, Jonathan Huberdeau, Andrei Kuzmenko, and so on, they've been fine, but you kind of need someone to step up and have a good season rather than a merely fine season. And as a result, the most impactful forwards they have on the roster right now are their 2 youngest forwards, Connor Zary and Matt Coronado. And no disrespect to those 2 gentlemen, but I don't think anyone really expected, based on who was on the roster, that to be the case 23 games in.
Well, I'm trying to think, when was the last, and I don't even know if it's ever happened, where an NHL team's top 2 leading scorers were both defensemen, which is what the case is right now in Calgary with Anderson and Weegar tied for the team lead at 13 points. Like, I got to ask my friends at the NHL. I got to think that maybe has never happened. Like,
and let alone a playoff team. Like, if you're a prospective playoff team and you have 2 defensemen as your top 2 scorers, something's going wrong there.
Yeah, but they're playing great, right? Like, those 2 guys are playing exceptional. Like, Rasmus Andersson, I think, is for sure going to make Team Sweden, and Mackenzie Weegar's at least put himself potentially, I think, is a dark horse, but potentially in the conversation to make Team Canada.
Yeah, I think the nice thing for both of those players is, Mackenzie Weegar and, Rasmus Andersson, with the departure of seemingly everyone else in the Flames blue line over the last 12 months, they've really leaned on those two for big minutes and big roles on and off the ice. And I think they've both really jumped into those roles with both feet. Weegar is a guy who's signed for another zillion years. He loves Calgary. And Anderson's a guy who has a couple years left in his deal. And, the time will tell if he ends up re-upping with the Flames when his deal expires at the end of the 2025-26 season. But he's someone who's, if you think of the Calgary Flames of this season, probably the two things that come to mind are Dustin Wolf making wacky saves and Rasmus Andersson scoring a goal and staring down a fan in the stands. And I think, for a team that lacked a lot of identity, lacked cohesion, and a lot, at times in the last 2 years has lacked a bit of swagger. Both of those players have really done a lot to bring some swagger to the group.
Yeah, well, they have. And, every team, you eventually need some of the young guys to make their way through. And, Connor Zari's not putting up huge numbers, but hey, man, NHL's hard. And you know what? He's progressing, I think, on a very good, maintainable path, right? It's not like the guy's got 25 points in 25 games and you're thinking, okay, eventually he's going to fall off. If anything, he's like, okay, and he's just over a half a game per point player, right? He's on pace for 43 points. And you look and say, hey, I think that's doable. And maybe he gets a little bit better in the second half and maybe he's a 50-point guy. And you're thinking at the end of the year, like that would be a hell of a season for Connor Zary.
Yeah, especially, he's a guy who's learning center at the NHL level. He's played it in the American League and the Western League, but he hasn't really played center consistently, but he's getting that opportunity this year. And, I think people forget because, Zari's been in the system for so long. He's in the final year of his entry level deal. And if you're, flirting with 50 points as a mid to late first round pick, I think that's pretty impressive. And the fact is, he was given an opportunity a month into last season. Like, Jason, you remember the woeful performance the Flames had in that outdoor game in Edmonton. And a couple days later, the Flames decide, okay, let's shake things up and bring in some kids, give them a chance. And bringing up Pospisil and bringing up Zari really kicked the team in the behind and woke them up. And if you take out the first month of last season, even with everyone and their dog getting traded during the season, they were still flirting with the playoff spot until the very end. So if you take away that first awful month, maybe maybe you're having a different result. But I think it speaks to, this year, there's no distractions the way there have been in previous years. Everyone is probably, if you look at the roster on November 28th, it'll greatly resemble the roster the Flames have on April 28th. And I think just the fact that you don't have that uncertainty has just allowed guys to just do their thing without having to worry too much. And, I think as a result, the Flames are a group that's playing loose. They're having fun. And when you go into that locker room, guys are cracking jokes even after losses, because I think they have a much more cohesive, for lack of a better term, vibe around the team right now.
Talking all things Calgary Flames with Ryan Pike from Flames Nation. Wolf's performance has been spectacular. Like, this guy's dominated the American League level goalie of the year. And you're like, well, there's no other place for him to go. And, there was some concern because of his height and everything. And it's early. We see the goaltender position. There is no more volatile position in the end. Dustin Wolf could have a 920 this year. And you even saw it in Markstrom. The next year it could be at, 899, right? Like it's hard to go year after year and be consistent as a goaltender. Never mind as a rookie goaltender. What are you seeing in Wolf on a nightly basis that's been the most impressive so far this year?
I'm just really impressed at how even keel he is. I mean, there's no ego in his game at all. Like, I think part of that is dating back to, he broke into the Western League with the Everett Silvertips, had to fight for minutes behind Carter Hart. When he finally got the minutes, he had great numbers, but he went, folks might remember this. He was the fourth from last player drafted in the NHL draft in 2019, despite leading the Western Hockey League in most goaltending categories that year, because he was a little small. And so he went pro and was the goaltender of the year as a rookie in the American League. And then he did it again. And then he was the MVP. And so for him, I see sort of some commonalities with Johnny Gaudreau in him, because even when Johnny Gaudreau posted like redonkulous numbers in college and as a rookie in the NHL and so on, he still had folks going, I don't know, he's small. Can he keep this up? and he managed to keep it up. And for pretty much his entire playing career as a netminder, Dustin Wolf has managed to do it. And I think it's those doubts that people have about his game that sort of keep him grounded and keep him really motivated to prove people wrong.
Yeah, and he's been pretty impressive for them. So you look at Calgary, and I still think they have a big long-term plan, right? And I don't know if many in Calgary truthfully thought, okay, we're going to be a playoff team or not. And the last thing you want to do is be the Philadelphia Flyers. Be really good until you get to March 1st and then fall off and miss the playoffs by 6 points and pick 14th, right? Like, that's not what Calgary wants. I know you can't ask the players to quit and not play their best. I totally understand it. But what do you see management doing here in Calgary? Are they going to just say, okay, we'll just ride it out. We'll play as great as we can and where it is. Or we know that we still need some pieces, so we're going to be willing to trade off some guys.
I think for the most part, they're going to stay the course. I think, we always hear this phrase from general managers, you take your cues from your team. And the Flames have, this year developed an identity. I think the hope was maybe the Flames might not make the playoffs this year, but I think the hope was, okay, develop an identity and become a team that teams just see you on the schedule and they go, oh God, these guys, tonight's going to suck because we had to play the Calgary Flames. And I think if you look at the home record, the Flames have really started to do that. I think if you look at some of the games they've played, even away from home, even when they've lost, they've gone down swinging. And so they're a tough night at the office. And I think, the Flames have the opportunity. Dan Bedard is a pending UFA. If you look on paper, they have Devin Cooley waiting in the American League. He's got incredible numbers. So I think
good.
You could easily swap out Vladar for a pick and bring in Cooley and get a head start on next year's tandem. And you're probably not taking that much of a drop. I mean, Vladar is a more established guy than Cooley at the NHL level, but you're gambling on Cooley maintaining close to what he's doing in the American League. And I don't think that's a huge gamble. But beyond that, I mean, you're probably long term. I know, the Flames lack center depth. We talked about Connor Zary, who's been playing wing really, at high level of the NHL, learning to play center. The Flames' other centers are 30-something-year-old Nazem Kadri, 30-something-year-old Michael Backlund, and 30-something-year-old Kevin Rooney. So they need some young centers. And so I think the one thing the Flames might be willing to part with significant assets for is a center that fits their age profile.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure if you went to the GM meetings and surveyed every GM, you probably find another 31 GMs who go, yeah, I'd love a young center too. So the Flames are probably be looking for that. I don't know if they'll be able to find that. So I don't expect them to make a lot of moves from here on out. I think they have the assets to do things if things, if the right offers fall in their laps. But I also don't think, based on how well their veterans are playing, how well their young players are playing, and how well they'd love to make some room for some more young guys. But I'd say no one has really played their way out of Calgary right now. And so I think they're pretty content just to let it be and see where the group goes.
What about Rasmus Andersson? Does he want to stay there long term? Because obviously they don't want another situation where he runs the free agency and leaves for nothing, right? Like, he's too valuable of an asset, but he's also their best defenseman. So what do they do?
That's the $8-point-something million question, isn't it? If I'm the Flame, everything I've been hearing is that they're going to talk next year. There's really for those of you who aren't overly familiar with the CBA minutia, you can't sign a player to an extension until July 1st of the last year of their deal. So They can talk, but until July 1st, you can't really put pen to paper anyway. And I think that the nice thing is, in the interim, the elephant in the room is the current CBA expires after next season. And so if you're Anderson, you probably want to know what the landscape looks like from that standpoint in terms of cap growth before you put pen to paper. I would say, regardless if it's here or elsewhere, as a percentage of the cap, I think you're looking for Anderson to get something somewhere in the neighborhood of what Noah Hanifin got in Vegas. And that would put you, with the cap inflation, somewhere in the low $8 million a year range. And it would start when he's 30. So there's a bit of a gamble. you're gambling on how well he'll age, but he's a guy who's, I would argue has gotten better the longer he's been in the NHL. And, I think we're easily seeing the best hockey he's been playing in his career. And if you're him and if you're his representation, you look at his performance this year and you go, okay, good. Keep this up for another 100 or so games. And you're going to be signing something with a big number on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody else, what's the latest on Kadri you're hearing there? And how's Huberdeau overall played?
Kadri, it's pretty quiet on that front. It's always strange when media folks say things in Ontario and it starts, the ripple effects. But I checked in on that and doesn't sound like there's very much happening on any front for the Flames right now. For Huberdeau, the thing I really like about Huberdeau is he's been so good away from the puck. For a guy that you don't really associate with great defensive plays, he's been so much more engaged in terms of at his request he got put in the penalty kill. He's getting into shooting lanes, he's blocking shots, he's winning corner battles, he's making smart little plays in his own zone that lead to things going the other way. And I think he's a guy who obviously has a lot of pride in his performance. He would love to be scoring more, but I think we've seen this in a lot of players as they age. Not to say that he's old. I'm not allowed to call anyone old at this point, but he as players get older, some tools fall off, and the smart players are the ones that sort of develop secondary tools. And he's still an amazing passer. I don't know if he'll ever have 115 points again, but I think he's done a nice job so far this year, sort of complementing his offensive skills with some sneaky good defensive work that I think will make him a much more versatile and useful player for the Flames going forward.
Piker, great stuff, man. Enjoy the slate of games tomorrow. It's a busy time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, take care, man.
There you go. That's Ryan Pike from Flames Nation. When we come back, Terry Ryan rejoins us. We got 5 questions or more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle,
Throw a load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk, elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with a tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
The Canada-wide clearance is on at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab elevation models. With Sierra's 13.4-inch diagonal premium GMC infotainment system with Google built-in compatibility, available off-road package with hill descent control, plus an available 3-liter Duramax diesel engine, you can take the road less traveled and try new things, like fishing or whitewater rafting. I should have gone fishing. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Not yet. Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, a $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win at On the Rocks, and you could win a ton of gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Also, it's sports1440.ca. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And if you are an American listener, happy Thanksgiving. Maybe listening on the pod later. It's, 6:30 Eastern for some of those. Just sitting down for a dinner, man. If you're a Giants or a Cowboys fan, you might be like, oh, God. Maybe we should have went for, let's get dinner right now. Early on, that was an ugly first half, but you know what? Hey, if you have the Cowboys defense in fantasy, they scored a touchdown, so you'll be happy there. Because at some point, it's really, you know what? When the game isn't great, it's all about the fantasy, As we welcome back Terry Ryan, man, his life's like a fantasy some days. TR, how you doing?
Oh, I'm not bad. I'm sitting outside a soccer complex right now in the car, as is often the case on a weekday night in November.
Yeah, so it's indoor. You guys have like +8 degrees there right now, though, don't you?
Yeah, well, earlier it was outdoor. She had soccer twice today. One with like the provincial program. Now this is with like her private program, and a lot of them are the same kids. So yeah, Thursday they got it twice, and it's been nice. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of rain here, like I said, but the temperatures haven't fallen below zero. And the last couple of days, you know, the midday, it's 10 degrees or so.
Jeez. Well, there you go. Nice.
We get dumped after Christmas, though. Don't worry. It always happens. Like, we get a lot of precipitation.
Okay.
So it doesn't get quite as cold as it does out there, but we're not going to be hurting for snow. It'll be up over the house. Don't worry.
All right. Now, we were talking earlier. Now, Zach Hyman, you know, Victor Arvidsson, two guys that are banged up. Now, Hyman gets back skating, and we don't know what the injury was. You know, it's Fort Knox on injuries now in the NHL. I haven't heard any rumors anywhere. And, you know, I thought maybe it was core injury, just if you watched how he kind of fell awkwardly or not. But he comes back skating. You've got a guy like Kapanen, who they claimed on waivers. And you know what? Edmonton was one of the teams kind of more closer to the top than the bottom of the league. And so if you're Kapanen, you're, hey, this could be a dream, but it's also maybe a little bit of a reality, like chop. You know, you're starting to maybe get into last chance territory. Do you put extra pressure, or is Kapanen, like, is he waking up this morning, TR, he's jumping on the plane to Utah being like, I'm living my best life, man, because I'm playing tomorrow with Connor McDavid? There's no stress. It's more excitement.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say something right in the middle of that. I'd be a little more nervous if, like, I know you're saying it could be his last chance, but I'd be a little more nervous if it was my first chance, because I just would be squeezing the stick. He knows what to do. He's a veteran. And teams, you know, if he does well, teams run into injuries, and you can only do yourself a favor. And to me, it's probably, I'm not going to say easier, but you're with a great team on a great line, then knowing what you know and being a veteran, you know that the odds are with you. If you, I hate to bring up work hard again, work ethic, but that's really it. You got to focus here, and you got a great opportunity ahead of you.
The Oilers power play. They spent 1 day working on it on the ice that we saw, and then there was obviously some film work from it. I did a whole extensive article yesterday about their power play. Their shots are down significantly. They have been the best shot per 60 on the power play for the last 4 years in the NHL. They finished fourth, first, and second, but combined over the 4 years, the best, and by a fair margin. And this year, they're 31st. Right now, Bouchard's had some shots blocked, but not nearly that many. And Draisaitl's shots are in half from what he normally takes. Everybody but McDavid's shots are down. So Utah, you come in, you're taking a team who's allowed 10 power play goals this month. Their penalty kill is brutal lately. I know they're confident in one sense, TR, but at the same time, like the last few years means nothing now that we're on game 22 of this season. Right? Like, how do you think the power play approaches it? And do you think there's pressure on them, even though they've done it, to be like, God, like, we got to get going here?
Yeah, and it's a glaring chance to get going, right?
Yes.
The team that you've traditionally, been better than, at least in the recent history, and then a team that takes a lot of penalties, seems vulnerable. You've had all that time off. I know it screams jump at this opportunity, but I was thinking the other day, and I'd like to revisit this in a month or two because, they can change up their power play and everything, but I would think some degree, and people go, well, for 2 or 3 years, it's the best in the league, so it's got to crack at some point. This is just, I get that when it comes to wins and losses, but when it comes to power play, maybe that's exactly it. Like it's been great for 2 or 3 years. It's been the same for 2 or 3 years. It's been readable now, right? Like, so you don't know, like, when you're playing, as a player, I didn't dive too much into it, but I remember conversations going on, with the media, the coaches, before a game, you might say, hey, listen, you know what? You force these guys up high and they're going to get rid of it. Like, and I'm not saying that that's what they have to do. I'm just saying there's often, just because one team has maybe figured out your power play more than they have.
They all have.
Yeah, right. Everybody's on a different. Some have, some haven't. So to me, it's very unpredictable territory, and that's why maybe they are squeezing the stick a bit. If the numbers just change so drastically, then to some degree, some teams at least are reading the play. To another degree, you're maybe squeezing the stick a little bit. But to me, that's glaring. If they're 31st in shots taken, then, whatever shots they were getting, right, teams are preventing that pass or that area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to me, I'd love to give more input, but I think it's more of a reactive thing than a proactive thing because I'd like to see exactly what their changes are compared to how they've been played so far. And, the coaches and video coaches and players, I would guess that they have a better idea of what's happening and why they're being stumped than we do. And, again, but in the end, the Oilers, if they're anything, they can adapt, right? So nothing is static about the Oilers. Why should their power play be?
Yeah, like the thing is, if you watch them, like last year, the one play that McDavid would come down and be flying, he would kind of attack the net, the low circle. Well, teams have switched, lots of teams, not all, but lots of teams have switched their power play and they've moved their defensemen out a little bit more. They have that 3 up instead of 2 and 2. And so that is one thing that I've noticed systemically that is different for certain. But I'm like, it's 22 games. You got the best player in the world. No one's been able to figure him out for years. And I totally agree with what you say. 1 or 2 teams might be in sync and they know how to slow it down, but not every team, right? Like, because they're seeing Edmonton's power play. The next night they're seeing Winnipeg's, and they're seeing everybody's a little bit different. So you don't change your penalty kill to each other's power play. You don't have time, right? Like you can't practice enough to say, okay, Monday we're going to practice against the Oilers power play. And then on Wednesday, we're going to practice against New Jersey's power play. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way. So I think it's a cop-out to say, other teams have figured it out. And I'm like, if they did, why the hell did it take this long? Because they've been dominating teams for 5 years. The greatest 5-year run in the history of the NHL in the power play for the Oilers from 20 to 24. So you can't tell me that they just suddenly snapped their fingers and everybody all figured it out at the same time. It just doesn't, it's not realistic.
Yes, exactly. And it's a combination, I think, of a bunch of things. And I mean, there's enough of a sample size, but I don't think they're still the best in the NHL at that. They clearly have to work at it, but I don't think they're where they are either. I think there's a happy medium, and they've had, I won't say blame anything really on injuries, but it's happened. And there's other guys, like, here's an example. I don't know how many, but that shot that Draisaitl takes like close to the line, it's almost no angle, and he often would get it up over the goalie's shoulder.
Yeah.
And which is a great play, great shot. And even when it didn't go in, it often created havoc, and Hyman or someone had maybe put in a rebound. But you don't really need to draw anything up. Goalies are onto that now. You don't have to go into the video room. Like, goalies see that and they're like, God, when that's always a highlight reel. And I, as a forward, I often used to wonder why people don't do it more. And now they kind of are, but that's just one little part of it. But I think it's a combination of those kind of things. So, and again, the Oilers are anything but static. So the power play is just naturally, I would think, not going to take care of itself, but it's as much about the system as it is about these guys just snapping out of it, just figuring it out. They all got hockey IQs because, like I said, all these teams don't have the same playbook on the Oilers. So, for them to go game to game to game to game to game and have similar results doesn't really make much sense with such an adaptable team. So I think there's a combination of things happening. And if they're working on anything, maybe it's a different structure, but I really would be bamboozled. I would be hugely surprised if they don't figure this out real soon.
Well, this is the weekend. I think you play Utah, who's penalty kills leaking goals, and they're taking way too many penalties. And then you have Colorado, who's 28th on the penalty kill. And if their power play doesn't get going in those two games, Terry, after a 5-day practice week, I think you have to change personnel by Vegas. You can always go back to it, but it's at some point, you got a shock to the system. Do something to get them going, because you can't, we'll just wait a few more games, because the next thing you know, it's game 40.
Yeah, and like sometimes, you do need a bit of a change. It's often the reason that a coach leaves and you're like, he's a great coach. Yeah, but you just need a little change. Look at, I hate to keep using the Leafs, but they're just always on my radar, the Canadian teams. Look at them. You would never have taken Matthews off that power play. And when he comes back, he's going to be obviously on it. Mm-hmm. But they did go on a run because it was just a little bit, and theirs was terrible at the beginning of the year. Might have been worse. But right, then they go on a run, because it's not that Matthews isn't a good player, isn't a great player, isn't the best scorer. It's just that sometimes just a little change, right? Guys like Marner don't rely on making that pass so much. And, I'm not saying it's all parallel, but there are definitely similarities. I used to notice that with, you go down over the history of a lot of different teams, and you're like, how is that power play better with so-and-so off of it? Well, it's just a different look. And probably by the end of it, the law of averages will work itself out. And, it's not going to be worse with Austin Matthews on it. But sometimes you just need that little change. And even for the players, I remember getting taken off the power play and going, okay, like maybe I'll work on number 2. Like, I remember being on teams and it was just so stale and stagnant that it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Okay, T, we're going to put you on power play 2. Okay, now I'm with so-and-so. So it might be different. I might be out there a little less, but this might trigger me. This might get me going, right? The team might get going. And I really... these guys are professional. By the time you get, I knew that in junior. By the time you get to the NHL, I don't think, it's not a great thing, but if your team's going to get going, you're on a team like the Oilers that has a chance at the cup and you're surrounded by greatness, I think you take it in stride. I really do. I'd be surprised if any of them didn't.
Jason Gregor, Terry Ryan, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, and Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50 and get a free $50 play. PlayAlberta.ca. We'll come back. 5 questions next on The Gregor Show.
Every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Weather forecast? Ugh. Savings forecast? Cha-ching. Save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150 at Fountain Tire until December 14th. Restrictions apply. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
It's Black Friday at the Brick. Doors open at 7 a.m. and the first 10 customers in line will receive a $50 credit to use towards any purchase. Plus, shop incredible door crasher specials until 9 a.m., like free local delivery on purchases over $4.99. Friday only, save 65% off sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Plus, buy any TV or appliance and get a $50 credit on furniture, decor, and mattresses. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
We all live in Canada, right? And we all know it gets cold, right? And every second that ticks by, it gets colder and colder. Well, GS Construction is prepared for that. GS Construction is the group that makes sure all those underground pipes that lead to it.
Jerry, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
In retrospect, how should you have handled the fight?
Yeah, I like what we did.
In retrospect.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.446. Gregor, Halley, Ryan, with you on a lovely Thursday afternoon. A little chilly, but hey, mean much, much worse. Let's get to 5 questions now, brought to you by The Brick, where hey, the Black Friday deal starts tomorrow, 7 a.m. First 10 people at each store, you get a $50 GC to use for whatever you like, and there is massive savings to be had. You can get 60% off of coaches. We can get the matching love seat or chair. You can get up to 50% off of mattresses. They got massive deals on appliances. So, man, if you are the Black Friday shopper, place to be is The Brick tomorrow.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, not an ideal start for Oilers forward Zach Hyman. 3 goals, 20 games before the injury. If you had to put a number on it, how many goals do you think he finishes with this season?
Assuming he's coming back in the next couple of games, I'm still going to say 30. I think he's going to get hot.
Yeah, so let's say he misses the next 2, then he comes back, so that's game 25. That means he still has 57 games. He's got 3 goals, 27 and 57, just under a 40-point pace, 35. Yeah, I'm going to say 29.
Question number 2, as we get closer to December. Right now, who would be your top 3 candidates for the Hart Trophy in the NHL?
Kirill Kaprizov, Marty Necas in Carolina, because he's having himself an unreal season, and Jack Eichel.
I've got Kaprizov. I'd like to see a goalie get it. So, and whichever Canadian team, I always cheer for the Canadian teams. So Connor Halley. I mean, who I think and who I hope as well. Number 3, I'm going to go with, I know I'm at an Edmonton show, but McDavid or Draisaitl. I'll tell you what I mean. If McDavid plays the rest of the season, it's hard not to put him on the list. And if he doesn't, Draisaitl has often stepped in and picked up the slack. And when he does, as we've seen, and I think as has been proven, he's a Hart Trophy candidate / winner every time. So I'm going to go with one of those guys, A and B.
Question number 3, the CFL free agency period will get going on February 11th. There's going to be the open time when they can talk with free agents from the 2nd to the 9th. When you look at the Elks free agents, outside of Trey Ford, who would be your top priority to re-sign?
Oh, it's a good question. I put out the list of guys. Morgan's your middle linebacker who was very good last season, but I'm actually going to go with Javon Leake because I think Javon Leake as a combination, him and Trey Ford, when he's in the backfield and Ford, like they just had unreal chemistry, and he's a game breaker. So I'm going to go with Javon Leake.
With all due respect, I can give you some opinions, but this is too deep for me in the CFL, so I don't want to give an absolutely idiotic, uneducated answer to all the great football sports fans out in Edmonton, so I'm not qualified to answer that.
All right, well, question number 4. It's a little bit sticking with the Elks here. We're going to have Justin Dunk on in the 5 p.m. hour here. He had a tweet out earlier today just talking about some of the nominees. Gregor, you've touched on it. Buck Pierce on Monday, Rick Campbell, Jordan Maximick on Tuesday, Mark Killam on Wednesday, and tomorrow, Jarius Jackson. I guess of those names or anyone else you want to throw in there, who do you think would be a top hire for the Green and Gold?
Well, if you're looking for experience, Rick Campbell has the most as a head coach. If you're a believer that says, you know what, we got to give someone else, Buck Pierce has been around for a long time. Killam for sure. Killam, no, he's from St. Albert, right? Maximic's been in the organization before, but my understanding is Killam had a very good interview with the organization. So I think he knows the market very well. And as a head coach, it's what did Ed Hervey say that he's looking for in a head coach? He wants somebody who's going to be very honest and somebody who's an excellent communicator with his players, which is something that Killam has a pretty good reputation of. So to me, it's Killam or Rick Campbell, I think, are your two leading guys.
And I'm going to take the same answer. I'm not qualified, but thank you for asking.
Question number 5. Not too many movies based around Thanksgiving. Obviously, Planes, Trains, Automobiles being the one that would come to mind. But a lot of movies do have Thanksgiving in them. So when it comes to those movies that do have a Thanksgiving scene, what is your favorite?
Okay, so when it comes to movies, actual movies, because my favorite isn't from a movie, it's from a TV show, and I'll get to that. I loved Rocky. Rocky really hit home to me because I saw a lot of, I wanted to see myself as a kid. That came out in 77. I first saw it in about 87 or 88, 10 or 11. And it really made an impression because I guess, what am I looking for? The class of living. I grew up kind of like that. We were middle class and, we were happy, but it wasn't, there was stressors in life. And there's a few scenes in Rocky that are really visceral and really hit home, and it's just everyday living in Philly, man. It's blue collar, it's every day. And Rocky went through a lot to get there. And, that first movie is based around Thanksgiving, at least the time, a lot of it. So that really, really, really hits home. It's one of my favorite movies ever. And so that would be my favorite from a movie. But my favorite ever Thanksgiving scene, and this is going the comedy route, but I'm sure you can get it on YouTube. Saturday Night Live, Adele. I think it's called A Thanksgiving Miracle with Adele. Anyway,
okay.
It's a Google search away. Please check it out. It's one of my favorite scenes ever from any sort of comedy, movie, TV show, whatever. It just happens to be Thanksgiving, so that's my answer. Adele, A Thanksgiving Miracle.
Now, I have two because they're very different. And because, one was around...
Let me guess, before you go, I don't want to cut you off. I'm going to throw out Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and just because I know how much you love the movie, I've heard about it in the past. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
Dude, of course that's it. Are you? So that's one for sure. The other one's very different, but Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the whole thing's about traveling at Thanksgiving, trying to get home to your family. But there's so many scenes in that movie. But one of my greatest is when Martin's asleep, and then he wakes up, and Candy's gotten all spun around, and he's on the highway going the wrong way, right? And you got the car going
which way we're going.
Yeah, the car's going the other way, and they roll their window down. It's like, we're going the wrong way. Oh, yeah. And then John Candy's like, how does he know where we're going? And Martin's like, yeah, how does he know? Thank you, sir. Like, oh, my God. It's so – the delivery's like, how does he know where we're going? Yeah. How do you think?
Yes.
And Steve Martin's character is such a obviously he would be freaking out because you're going the wrong way. Not like, well, what way do they don't know where we're going. Like, it's so stupid to think that. But God, that movie, so many scenes there make me laugh. But
so many. The rental car scene is one of my favorites ever as well.
Yes. Oh, it's amazing when he walks into the airport. Like, you wipe that freaking smile off the freaking. Oh God, it is so great. But if you're just talking scenes, one of the most memorable scenes comes at Thanksgiving dinner in American Gangster. And if you haven't seen it, that Thanksgiving Day scene, are you kidding me? Denzel's unreal. I love Denzel. But,
unbelievable. One of the most underrated movies of the 2000s.
Yes. So American Gangster cons because of the Thanksgiving holiday dinner. I don't know if you know the scene or not. I don't want to ruin it. If you haven't seen the movie Cons, I highly recommend it.
I've seen it about 1,000 times. I have it on DVD.
What?
Yeah, it's always on TV.
This is a movie you've seen, American Gangster?
Russell Crowe, Denzel Washington. Are you kidding me? That's
okay.
That the end scene when he's coming out of the church with the music and they're doing the bus. Like that's cinema. I love that one.
Okay. What's yours?
I just want to say I had to look up a list of Thanksgiving movies. Holiday Inn does appear in this list. So I had never heard of that movie until today. There's two. Like you, Gregor, there's a TV scene, King of the Hill. They blow up his turkey that he's trying to take to Montana. They think it's a bomb. That's a classic scene. But I got to go with The Blind Side. One of my favorite movies, Michael Orr, with the family. They're watching football, and he's at the table by himself, and they all decide to go to that meal together. So The Blind Side for me would be the top.
Oh, Blind Side is
some great choices there, boys. Some great picks. I mean,
it is, and no one picked Home for the Holidays. That was I thought TR was going to. TR he seems to love the softies. I thought he'd be all over that one. So
yeah, you know what? It's not that I don't like it. It would be in my top 10 maybe, but too many other. And it's like hearing a song. Like it's when you Rocky. I don't think means the same to everybody. I mean, it's a great movie. First, you could be objective about it, but I definitely know for me, part of that is, an only child and always feeling like a bit of an underdog. I skipped a grade, so I was smaller than everybody, and I don't know what it is. The same thing happened with Rudy, but in a different sense. I like those underdog stories, but that one really hit home because it reminded me of things that I experienced. Growing, everything wasn't milk and cookies. You had to work for things, and my dad had to work for things, and I don't know, just identified with it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Now we got a lot of texts coming in. Hey, boys, WKRP Thanksgiving. Well, we played that clip earlier this week on the show. Les Nessman, the greatest live remote in the history of radio.
I love the show. I don't know. I love Les Nessman.
You've never seen that. You don't know what we're talking about? Here, just
Johnny Fever. No, I haven't.
Okay, listen up. Here's Les Nessman. Cons, you got it? Okay, he'll get a sec. He'll get it because I think he's got it saved here. I can't believe you don't remember that scene, TR. You've probably
watched a lot of that show.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Like Les Nessman, there's two episodes that really stand out for me with Les. This is one, and then the other one when he's playing baseball and he's in the field and he keeps hearing the violin practice in his ears, and then he's got to try to catch the ball, and then he actually catches it and everybody goes bananas. Like, oh, that's such a classic scene as well. But Cons, you got it queued up? Okay, here you go. TR, listen to this. This is Les Nessman's live remote report on Thanksgiving.
This is Les Nessman, your man on the scene here at the Pinedale Shopping Center where the excitement is mounting. We're here to witness the big WKRP Turkey Thanksgiving giveaway.
Hey, you got permission to be out here? What? You're blocking my store here, buddy.
Don't you know who I am? Huh? I'm Les Nessman. I won the Buckeye News Hawk Award last year.
Good for you, Buckeye. Now get out of my doorway.
I'm sorry. Freak.
So far, so good. Huh?
What has been described as perhaps the greatest turkey event in Thanksgiving Day history. All we know for sure is that in a very few moments there are going to be a lot of happy people out here. And now the crowd is curious but well behaved. And I think I hear something now. The crowd is moving out into the parking area. And, oh yes, I can see it now. It's a helicopter. And it's coming this way. It's flying something behind it. I can't quite make it out. It's a large banner. And it says, Happy Thanks. W. What a sight, ladies and gentlemen. What a sight. The copter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. Oh, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's a dark object. Perhaps a skydiver plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet in the air. Third. No parachutes yet. Oh my God! They're tracking me! Oh, they're crashing into your weapon! With the windshield of a parked car! It's terrible. The cars running around, pushing each other. Oh my goodness! Oh, the humanity! Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement.
Oh God, TR, you gotta watch that. It's unbelievable because Les is, and of course, then you got Johnny Fever. They're all back to the station. Like, this is live. What is he doing? It's on their own station, and it's their. And then later on, it ends with their boss saying, "I swear on my life, I thought turkeys could fly." Oh God, it's so funny.
I love Les Sussman. I love the show. I must have missed that episode. I've seen most.
Don't you know who I am? I'm on the Buckeye. Oh, that's the greatest line.
It's so Les Nessman too.
Oh, he was so funny. So, yeah, WKRP.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
WKRP.
check that out.
You got to check it out. Anybody on Thanksgiving, WKRP in Cincinnati. Oh, classic. Friend of the Younger Bucks. It was a great TV show. I think it was only on for 5 years, but man, Johnny Fever, Herb Tarlick. Like, Herb Tarlick is basically Strutty. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Well, he's not the perv, but he just some of his lines, and he dresses like Herb.
And he even has a little. The hair.
Yes.
The hair. Strutty's had that same hair at points in his life.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. I love it. TR, have yourself a great weekend. We will chat with you. Oilers have 3 games. Well, they'll have 2 games a weekend. They got Utah and Colorado. It seems like forever since they played. So we'll see how the Oilers look. And can their power play, can they actually, well, God, they better score 1 goal this weekend, but it'd be nice to see if they could actually score in consecutive games, which has only happened twice all season. And they've never had a game. How about this, TR, for fun? The last 5 seasons, the Oilers, in 22.5% of their games, they scored 2 power play goals or more. 22.5. 84 out of 383. This year, nada. 0%.
That is alarming.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we'll see. The next time I talk to you guys, we'll have probably more answers and more input for sure. So thank you very much. This has been a hoot. I'm going to check out WKRP. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Edmonton. And we'll see you guys in just a few days.
There you go. That's Terry Ryan here on Sports 1440. Let's get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. And the Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on a 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
3 games on the schedule today in the NFL as it is Thanksgiving down south. The Lions knocked off the Bears 23-20 early today, third quarter. The Cowboys have a 20-10 lead over the New York Giants, and at 6:20 tonight, the Miami Dolphins head to Lambeau to take on the Packers. Collegiate basketball today, busy schedule. Arizona trails Oklahoma 64-55 in the second. Also in the second, Ole Miss up on BYU 50-47 earlier today. Gonzaga got past Indiana 89-73. Florida over Wake Forest 75-58, and Purdue drops NC State 71-61 on the college football field. Tonight, just 1 game, Tulane hosting Memphis. That'll get going at 5:30. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll head down to Utah and be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet Plus. We'll talk some CFL with Justin Dunk of 3 Down Nation. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there, now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of your favorite smoothies, like the Marathon, the Original, and the Orangesicle, made with oranges, orange sorbet, and vanilla frozen yogurt. Happy 25th, Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada, with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNugget, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area, prices exclude delivery.
Commissioner Allen Auction Public Unreserved Equipment Auction is next Friday at 9 a.m., featuring 3 unused 2022 Case SV280B skid steers, plus backhoes, dumpers, forklifts, excavators, mini excavators, graders, turf mowers, skid steers, utility vehicles, plus commercial trailers. Info at maauctions.com.
Regulated online gambling website.
Rolling along. How are you, Gregor? Connor Halley in Sports 1440. Sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hey, you made it through another workday. Good for you. Maybe you had a little extra time watching some football. Who knows? But late game, of course, has Green Bay and Miami. No NHL action tonight. They have the day off. 15 games yesterday, 14 tomorrow, 12 on Saturday. The Oilers are playing both days. Oiler fans are like, is my team even in the league? Yes, you've had a little bit of a break since Saturday's 6-2 victory over the Rangers. Probably made it easier, let's be honest. Oilers Nation would have been fuming if that was a 6-2 loss, but it was a 6-2 win, and now you relax. They go into Utah for their first and only meeting this season in Utah. The next year, they'll actually be probably the Utah Yeti or Yetis. We shall see. Let's get to the Spec Report now. Brought to you by GS Construction. Hey, they're working on the LRT West on 104th, moving, upgrading, repairing underground infrastructure to make way for the future LRT and road alignment. Be patient with them at GS Construction as you get through the construction zones. Mark Spector, hey, he had to be patient. Flight delayed yesterday, but Spec and his new glasses were on the plane today into Utah. Now you missed practice, unfortunately, and then the morning skate for Utah Spec, but it'll be the first time for you at the rink tomorrow in the building. And can you kind of tell? I know you just arrived there; it's early, but is Utah, like when you come off the plane in Edmonton, at the certain carousel, there's a bunch of Oilers stuff and Elks. Is there any Utah Hockey Club paraphernalia at the airport?
Well, I was walking past just as I went from my gate to the baggage carousel, some gift shops, and I kind of looked, and I'm going to say no, but I also want to say I think they sold all their jerseys, didn't they?
Well, they just ordered some new ones, yeah. But even just like, here they've got like those mannequins and stuff up like that on the carousel.
No, I'm not going to say that. I didn't see that.
Okay.
But I just I think there's a shortage of stuff because I think the town has like bought it all. They didn't have enough or something. So I was just reading a story on how they had a thing earlier in November where they invited all the season ticket holders down. They sold every jersey they had within about an hour and a half. So they are excited. I guess you got to say that. But I'm just driving down the street in the back of a cab, and I can't say that I see a bunch of kids playing road hockey or anything like that, Jake.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of that, sadly, in Canada anymore either. So, which is
there you go. Plus, people are inside eating turkey and watching football down here.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Utah comes in, Spec. I was looking at their numbers. The most penalized team in the NHL in the month of November. One of their rookie defensemen has taken 10 minor penalties, none of them coincidental, in the last 7 games. So,
which guy's that?
They're the young behemoth defenseman. Oh God, what's his name? I was talking about him earlier. I just remember he's got the weird first name. Let me find it here. God, I wrote the article. You'd think I'd remember the kid's name, but 6'7", 220 pound guy. He's actually, not bad. He's already got 3 points in 15 games, but he lately can't stay out of the penalty box. And that's not ideal. So if you're the Oilers, and I know their power play right now is not at the level that it needs to be by any stretch of the imagination. But you would think Lamoureux, that's his last name. He's got the first name Maverick. That's why I remembered it. But I kept thinking Maverick.
That's a kid that played with Bourgault, isn't it? Junior?
He played in Drummondville. I don't know if he played with him or not.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. But anyway, so no, that was Maverick Bourque. I'm sorry, that was Maverick Bourque. Excuse me. Not that many Mavericks in the queue, but I guess that's 2 of them.
Yes. Yeah. And he's huge, like 6'7". So if I'm the Oilers, I'm going after this guy. Like 10 minors in 7 games, dude. Like there's only 2 other players who took even 10 penalties a whole month. Never mind 10 in a 7-game span. So, you know what? Who knows if what's happening? Refs target him because you're big, or, there's a lot of cross checks I noticed and hooks and whatever.
He's not keeping up. There was, you and I are old enough to remember the time when if you had a lot of penalties, it's because you were really, really tough. Right? Yeah. Now, by and large, it's if you have a lot of penalties, it's because you're really, really having a hard time playing in the league, to be honest with you. That's where hockey has gone to. So, I wish the kid well, Lamoureux, but if you're telling me he's racking up minors on defense, I'm telling you, guys are burning around him left, right, and center, and I haven't even seen him play.
Well, you look at it, and the Oilers say they got to find a way to draw more penalties, right? Like, and the funny thing is, in the month of November, Utah has taken the most penalties in the NHL. The Oilers have taken the fewest penalties in the NHL, and their penalty kill is very good. But they're obviously not testing it very often either, which is smart, right? They've killed off their last 16, though, in their last 7 games, which is a really good run for them. But I just look at this Utah team, Spec, and we've talked about it. But, they lost. It looks like they lost another defenseman. Bortuzzo left the Montreal game after he played 4 minutes. There was a collision knee on knee. He was the one delivering the hit, but it looks like he took the worst of it. Now, they're only saying day to day, but I don't expect him in the lineup either. So, they're
missing Marino, and who's the other guy?
Sean Dursey got hurt hurt in the 4th game.
Yeah. So those are 2. Like when you're Utah, Marino and Dursey are 2 guys you are counting on big time, and it's crippling them not to have those 2 defensemen. You're telling me Bertuzzo's questionable? That hurts. And the guy you put in is a young kid who's taking 1 million penalties. That hurts. It's hard to win, right? It's hard to win when you're facing a team like the Oilers that got a little bit of power up front, and your best 2 defensemen aren't playing, and a big guy like Bertuzzo's maybe slowed down. It's hard to win, I'll tell you what.
Oh, 100%. That's why, like, Edmonton, this game sets up, man. To me, must wins, but this is a should win game for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, it's a should win game. You can't play a must win in November, but it's a should win. You can play a should win in November, and that's what they're playing tomorrow night for sure.
Yeah, it is. Zach Hyman skated today, but was very, hey, you know what? I don't know what my timeline is. The fact that it's his first skate in a week, he's not playing tomorrow. I guess there's an outside chance because if he skates again, I'm assuming he'll skate tomorrow in the morning skate, that would be 2 days. So I guess there's a chance for Colorado. But the fact he's going on the road trip spec tells me that Vegas is a very realistic chance next Tuesday.
Yeah, and we got to be so careful when we talk about injuries. Hell, he could play tomorrow in Utah for all they let us know. I don't even know what his injury is. They don't like. I've past my time where I come on the radio or go in the papers and try to tell you like I know what's going on with injuries anymore. It's such a secret. So sure, all we know is this. If he's coming on the road, that means he's past the phase where he can't skate with the team anymore. They want him practicing with the team so that he's obviously close. If he wasn't close, he wouldn't be here. Vegas, why not? A couple days of practice, couple morning skates here, or at least, there won't be a big morning skate in Denver, but I'm sure Zach Hyman will be at whatever size of skate there is.
Yes.
He's close, got to be close. So yeah, they could use him, man. That, they're trying to work on their power play. It's hard to work on it when he's not there because he's a huge part of it. And his style of offense, the greasy, ugly goal, down low, hard working puck retrieval, bang it in goal. They're not getting enough of those. And he's a guy that's supposed to get a bunch of them. And he won't be scoring any from the press box. So they need him back, and they need him back soon if they're going to put this team together. The team that we expected to see includes Zach Hyman doing his work down low, right?
Yeah, no, Hyman and Draisaitl, the two guys who now Hyman scored 15 power play goals in each of the last 2 seasons, so pretty significant number.
That's solid, yeah.
All right, Draisaitl's your go-to guy in the power play, has been for 5 years, like by a significant margin over everybody in the league. Never mind everybody in Edmonton. He's at 178. The next closest guy in power play goals in that time is Sam Reinhart at 74. Like we're talking 34 goal difference. Like it's massive, right? So they got it. I don't care what they do on the power play on Friday. It better involve getting Draisaitl shooting the puck more because that is the one major focus. He's third most power play shots in the league over that time, most power play goals by a massive margin, right? He's their most consistent shooter. He's their most high volume shooter. And his shots per 60 are cut in half right now from what they've been the last 5 years. They got to get him open, and it can't just be in one spot. Move him around, get him open, and get him shooting.
Oh, well, this is what we were talking about yesterday. I'm interested to see what Glenn Gulletson and that power play unit has come up with over the last few days, because I don't think they're just standing pat and trying to do the exact same thing that hasn't worked for 22 games. I think that they would have taken this break and said to themselves, okay, let's get some work done on this thing. So, listen, I don't know where I put Draisaitl. Like, it's a bit of an admission of defeat if you take him out of that spot that he's scored all those goals you just talked about from. It's a bit of a, you're kind of lost the battle before you even played it if you say, okay, we're not going to put Draisaitl down there.
No, I'm not saying you don't put him there, Spec, but remember, Draisaitl didn't just score from there. He would move around to the bumper. He would even move around. Like they used to switch sides a lot more with their guys. And all I'm saying is find ways to get Draisaitl the puck in whatever fashion you have to do. You've been the best power play in the NHL. You've got arguably the 2 most skilled offensive players. Right, there's some other guys who can make an argument for sure to be number 2, but you've got the most skilled player in the league. There's no debate on that. So use your strengths and find them to get open. Like I don't think we can sit here and say, well, you know what, because they're not getting enough looks. Like they're just simply not.
No, they're not. And having, like the thing about having Zach Hyman in the spot that he plays is it tightens up the box. They got to be very, when Hyman's working down low, and he brings people to the net, which brings people away from the flanks, which is where Draisaitl does his work. So, with no Hyman down there, they probably aren't quite as worried about that. They're certainly keying on Draisaitl. And I think another guy that's got to make the PKs worry about him more is number 2, Evan Bouchard. Bouchard's got to become a guy that the opposing PK coach is saying, okay, we got to watch this guy. We got to have somebody out there because he has not been dangerous. He's not been effective for the first quarter of the season here. And all of those factors, no Hyman, not a great Bouchard, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins not getting anything done. That just lets teams key on Draisaitl, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. And you know what? So I think they can get better just because I think they have enough skill to do it. Do you go Skinner tomorrow, Pickard against his former team? Is that too that's kind of obvious?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Skinner's coming off an excellent game, so that's what I would do. I guess there's a school of thought that says you save your best goalie for the tougher opponent. I think we both agree Colorado's a tougher opponent than Utah. So, that to me is a bit of a 50-50. I'm playing Skinner in Vegas. There's no doubt about that. So whichever one of these two he gets, he's playing the next one. And you're hoping, he's a metaphor for the whole team, Jason. You're hoping that Rangers game, you're hoping the Oilers team that played a really solid hockey game that night can springboard off that game and carry it through and sort of build something here. They got one 3-game winning streak all season. And you're hoping that Skinner, who had a real nice game against New York, can build off of that too. He needs to put together 3, 4, 5 good starts in a row here, doesn't he?
No, 100%. Yeah. Kevin Woodley started his last 3 starts. He said he had to, for a goalie, if you just have an average start, that's good. You know what? And not every defense, you don't have to have above average every game. It's ridiculous. You don't expect your forwards to be above average every game. And so he said his last 3 games of from average to great. He only had 4 of those in his first 12 starts. So 3 out of 3 after only 4 of 12. It looks like maybe he's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, that's really good. Hey, by the way, I was just looking at Twitter while I was at the baggage carousel. You see Tyler Ennis taking apart Jeff Skinner a little bit on Twitter today.
Well, he was just talking about how he's got to do something on the forecheck, right?
Well, he was talking about how he doesn't do a whole lot else but score, and he's not sure if he was a good fit in Edmonton. And at this point, it's hard to argue. I'm waiting for Jeff Skinner to show me that he's not the guy that got run out of Buffalo, that he's somebody else. And I'll tell you, just reading the tea leaves, I don't see a coach in Chris Knobloch who sees anything better than what Lindy Ruff or whoever was coaching there last year.
Yeah,
it was Granato, I think, coaching last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it's fair. It is a very fair question to have said. The Oilers could have just signed Holloway and not went after Skinner, and then still traded for Podkolzin. And you'd have Holloway and Podkolzin as left wingers instead of Skinner and Podkolzin. It's a fair one to look and say, hey, you had a young Dylan Holloway. Even if you would have paid him $2 million, it's less than the $3 million you were paying Skinner.
Yeah, it didn't fall in sequence quite that way, but I hear what you're saying. They signed Skinner and they still thought they'd have money for Holloway. Then Holloway went and took the Group 2 deal, and I don't blame him one bit. But yeah, I see what you're saying. They could have taken care of Holloway and left Skinner. Somebody believed, Jeff Jackson was running the show on July 1st.
Yes.
Right? This isn't a Stan Bowman signing. Stan Bowman signed, I believe it was July 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it was July. No, later than that. July
later than that?
25th or something.
Was it? I forget. Yeah. Anyway, it was that. That's it. But my point is, this one's on Jeff Jackson. And, that's Arvidsson. We all get a pass on Arvidsson because he looks like a nice player when he's playing. He's hurt. You don't like that, but I don't blame guys for injuries that much, even though he's got a bit of an injury history. But Skinner, you know what? Skinner looks like exactly what my colleagues in Buffalo told me he was going to look like. When they signed him, I phoned the boys out there, Mike Harrington and a couple of writers, and they said, we didn't like this guy one bit. I'm not sure you will. And here we are, half a quarter of a season later, and there's not a lot to like yet, my friend.
Yeah, we'll see if he picks up his game, because you're right. If he ain't shooting, ain't scoring, not much he ain't doing. So not much he's doing, not ain't doing. That was terrible, it, brother. Terrible. That was about as bad as his forecheck right there, and speaking English. So, terrible. Spec, have yourself a great day in Utah, and we'll get a report next week on just kind of the building and everything else, and how it is in Utah. I look forward to that.
Yeah, tomorrow night. Today is only Thursday, right?
Yeah. So tomorrow, next Monday. Because obviously tomorrow night's the game, but next Monday when you're on, we'll get kind of the recap. Being to Colorado 1,000 times, I think we know what that's like. Vegas, we all know it's good, but Utah, I'm kind of curious how the atmosphere. What's the game day presentation like?
Yeah, me too, man. All right. We'll talk tomorrow.
There you go. That's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we return, lots of interviews going on for the Edmonton Elks. Killam, you've had, of course, Rick Campbell. You're going to have Jarius Jackson tomorrow. Oof. Is it foregone conclusion? I will say this. I heard from two good sources today that the Killam interview, very impressive. They knew Hunter. Obviously, Maximic are two guys that Ed Hervey's very familiar with, but doesn't mean that he has to hire them. So we'll talk about that. And BC's interviewing the exact same guys. So does that put the onus to be like, if we like a guy, let's just jump on it right away? We don't want to wait till they can interview. So we'll touch on that next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
We'll say dream big and think about your future. Well, at GS Construction, we live by those words every day. You see, GS Construction lays pipes in the underground systems in your area. So we don't just think about today. We think about tomorrow and the future of Edmonton's communities and neighborhoods, the places we call home and the places we will call home. We're there when new neighborhoods are developed and return when it's time to replace them. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
It's Black Friday at the Brick. Doors open at 7 a.m. and the first 10 customers in line will receive a $50 credit to use towards any purchase. Plus, incredible door crasher specials until 9 a.m. Like free local delivery on purchases over $499. Friday only. Save 65% off sofas when you buy the matching Love Seater chair. Plus, buy any TV or appliance and get a $50 credit on furniture, decor, and mattresses. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Delicious news. The McDonald's meals you love are now $9.99 every day. Grab your faves like the Big Mac, 6-piece McNuggets, McChicken, or Filet-O-Fish with medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99 each plus tax. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Edmonton, Alberta, and the surrounding area. Prices exclude delivery.
Commissioner Allen Auctions Public Unreserved Heavy Truck Auction is next Thursday at 9 a.m. featuring Tridem, tandem, and single axle trucks including cabin chassis, box and hoists, stiggers, fuel lube, tractors, man lifts, pickers, plows, and van bodies. Info at maauctions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through Thursday afternoon as you make your way home. Drive safe. Please turn your lights on. Take a little extra time. Don't worry. Just more time with us. Less stress for you. Hopefully. Maybe. Or we'll fire it up, depending. Now, we'll hear from Zach Hyman before the top of the hour. Of course, he was back on the ice for the first time as he missed the last few games for the Edmonton Oilers. And perfect timing, I guess, for Hyman in the sense that the Oilers had the 5-day break, didn't miss any more games. Unlikely, I would think, to play tomorrow with only one skate. But and he didn't clear himself today. He didn't say, I don't really have a timeline. So now are they playing cat and mouse, like cloak and dagger? Like, I think at times, like, hey, I'm ready to play. If you're ready to play, then just say you're ready to play. Like, I don't think the game plan is suddenly going to change massively for one team because Zach Hyman comes back in. I don't think him and Corey Perry on the power play are significantly different in how the power play is going to run, for instance. So we'll see. Let's get to our big guest of the day now. Brought to you by Silent Rides, or Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment Group, innovative market leader across Western Canada with properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, Seattle Thunderbirds, the Hockey Super League, the Female Super League, and more at Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment. As CFL, they're in the coaching hiring phase. The interviews and two Western teams, BC and Edmonton, basically, it looks like they got almost identical, not 100%, but very close identical list for coach interviews. Justin Dunk from 3 Down Nation joins us, as well as a Riders pre and post game host. And Justin, you look at it and, you see Rick Campbell and you see Jordan Maksimic and, you see Killam going for both jobs. Obviously, Buck Pierce into BC as well. And Jarius Jackson as the interim coach in Edmonton, going to get interviewed tomorrow. But like, if you're BC and Edmonton and you like one of those 3 guys who are doing both jobs, you're probably going to have to act very quickly so the other team doesn't get them.
You're right. I think you want to be first to the punch. And the name of the top of that list, at least for me, has to be Mark Killam. This guy is an up-and-comer in terms of the coaching ranks. He's been in Calgary for a long time, won 3 Grey Cups there. And I think there's some momentum here for him to potentially be the head coach of the Edmonton Elks. He's a Lethbridge, Alberta native, played his university football there in Edmonton at Alberta with the Golden Bears, was a team captain there as a linebacker. That would seem to line up with Chris Morris and his affinity and long-term relationship for that program. So, I think Killam arguably should be at the top of this list. He's a young guy, a lot of passion and energy, which would also fit Morris in that unbelievable opening press conference he had there.
Yeah, true. Now, Chris did say, he goes, hey, I've never been a GM. I'd be foolish to not let the GM hire. He's involved in it, but obviously I think it's Ed Hervey, and Ed was similar to Chris. Both are super passionate guys. And, Ed outlined pretty clearly at his press conference what he's looking for in a coach, right? He wants a no BS coach who's very good in communicating with his players and now I know he's not only, but he's a special teams coach, and guys who've played under him swear that he's a great communicator. So I know it is a big jump though, from going to the coordinator to being the head coach, where now suddenly you're in charge of everybody on the team. And it's much less about coaching than it is about managing players' personalities.
And leading men, as you know, from watching the Edmonton Oilers and them go through coaches, right? So I think the key with Mark Killam is that he's been an assistant head coach with the Calgary Stampeders since 2019. He understands what it is to be a leader of men. And, I'll point to this, not that it's the be all end all, Jason, but there is this wave of momentum on social media of present and past Calgary Stampeders saying that Mark Killam's a guy for the job. Now, I'm not saying that you should hire based on social media, but are we seeing that same thing for Rick Campbell, who was just let go by the BC Lions? I don't think we are online. He's a much different guy in terms of his approach. He's a little more soft-spoken, I would say, at least in front of the cameras. But I think you can feel the sense of energy around Mark Killam.
And it is fascinating. And I wonder, because there's a lot of people in Calgary saying, first of all, there was only 2 organizations last year that have one guy do the coaching GM, and they had the 2 worst records in the league. Well, I guess Hamilton. But you know what? You can't do both. You cannot do both and be successful. And for Calgary to keep Dave Dickinson in both titles and potentially lose Killam rather than promote him, it seems like a terrible decision if that actually unfolds. Because I don't see Killam sticking in Calgary. If he doesn't get the head coaching job in BC or Edmonton, he's gonna get a position, he'll be a special teams coordinator at worst, I would think.
Yeah, he'll be a coach somewhere in this league, and I would think if he doesn't get that job either in Edmonton or BC, as you said, the likely place for him to end up could be a special teams coordinator, perhaps with the Elks, or I think potentially the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because of the relationship he has with Corey Mace. And Mace asked a year ago for permission to interview Killam. That was turned down by Dave Dickinson, right? Who then goes and doesn't re-sign him, whatever you want to call it, in Calgary. But then you have this outpouring from the players. So some stuff doesn't make sense. Kadeem Carey tried to make it make sense in terms of what's going on in Calgary there when I talked to him literally as the confetti was dropping at the Grey Cup. So I would encourage anybody wondering what's going on in Calgary to go read that article at 3downnation.com. Now, I will balance it out and say that perhaps Dave Dickinson would want to have his side, but it seemed like Carey for a lot of former Stampeders in that piece.
It's very true. There wasn't a lot of like if it wasn't true, I don't think you'd have other people all piping up to say, yeah, I agree. Right. And usually that's normally the case in that regard. And like, you concerned about like Calgary and Edmonton for the longest time were two very successful, stable franchises. And, Ed Hervey even said, hey, our organization, he felt has become a little bit of a laughingstock. And in Calgary, it definitely seems to be one that's become very player unfriendly.
Yeah, that's only based on what the players have said, right? And, I've heard some flack, let's say, from the people around the Stampeders organization, rightfully so. I can understand when you're taking criticism that you're going to want to say your piece. But when you're talking to players and they're talking about, the lack of treatment that they're getting from the organization, or Kadeem Carey out here saying that he didn't feel like he was taken care of well enough so that he could get through 18 games plus playoffs as a running back, which he was able to do in Toronto, by the way, helping the Argos win the Grey Cup, then that really speaks to me. And I do think part of this, Jason, as you well know, in Calgary, has to do with the stadium. Now, that's not necessarily the fault of the Calgary Stampeders, but I feel like if they had a better facility there, that the players would be talking a little bit more proudly about playing for the Stamps. That said, Charleston Hughes has come out on the other side and said that, hey, my experience there was great. Yes, they are probably a little bit cheaper than some of the other franchises, but that didn't mean that they couldn't dominate the West Division, for about a decade.
Yeah, and it's true. But I never even heard whispers of it that much 10 years ago. Now, I know that when you lose, everything's worse, right? Like winning covers up and cures a lot. We all know that in sports, but like we've kind of heard this, Justin, and you're tapped in pretty well. Like these rumblings aren't just sudden, right? Like you've kind of heard, and usually where there's smoke, there's fire when you hear enough of it.
Usually, I would agree with you. And the main difference that I've heard is John Hufnagel in his prime versus now what has become Dave Dickinson's team. And I'm not necessarily pointing the arrow straight at him. I'm just telling you what the players have told me. So they would tell you that that's the major difference, that under John Hufnagel, it was run differently. There was a leadership. There was a respect there. Yes. Whereas with Dave Dickinson, some of those things are different because he's about it in his own way that a lot of players either didn't have left or don't agree with.
Yeah, well, and it's odd. Like like Dave Dickinson, even as a player, he always kind of had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and that's understandable. He got overlooked a lot of times along the way in his career, and that probably fueled him to be such a good player. But I don't know if you can coach and manage with a chip on your shoulder.
It's a little different.
Yeah,
that's part of the issue here, to be quite honest, is that Dave Dickinson is a coach. You've seen him coach the Calgary Stampeders Grey Cup in 2018. The general manager, Dave Dickinson, if we're looking at it even fairly, has not been very good, and I would say has been poor as a general manager.
Yeah.
So you have to manage that relationship differently when you're the head coach and GM, dealing with both sides of that, trying to get the most out of your players, but then also at the contract table. And Jason, it starts with this, right? You go trade for Vernon Adams Jr. and you talk about how great you think he's going to be. And he has a reasonable starting quarterback contract in this league, going to make in and around $500,000 the next couple of seasons. And the first thing that you're talking about is what? Potentially asking him to take a pay cut. Great way to get started in your relationship, right?
Yeah, that wasn't lost on me. And I was just like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Like it's not an ideal approach to take. And it is one I wonder. Now, going back to the Elks and Killam and their search, they got a lot of free agents. But when Adams got traded, and listening to Chris Morris, his very first thing he did as president of the team was go for dinner with Trey Ford. That was the first thing he did. And he just wanted to listen to him and get his sense. And, I had Trey Ford for an hour in studio here, and he talked very openly about things. He was very adamant that, there were some rumors that, he turned down packages. And he goes, no, all I asked was, are there throws in the package? Then yes, I'll do it. And then the next day it broke out that he said he didn't want to do the package. And he vows that that's not the case. And when I look at just how he was treated the last 2 years in Edmonton, it's mind blowing to me. It wasn't just Chris Jones. There was still Simon, still Jarius Jackson. They were all there because not a lot of it changed. But I really get the sense that Hervey and Morris, Trey Ford's their guy, but they would like to have somebody around him. Who are the other options you think to be like a good veteran guy who's going to push you, but like not like super push you, if you know what I mean, for the starting job?
Yeah, it's well said on trade for. I agree on all those fronts. And Ed Hervey doesn't mess around with his words, right? He's not going to come out publicly and say that he thinks Trey Ford is an electric and dynamic player and wants to give him every opportunity to be the starter and do it. That's not his track record. So I take him at his word at that, and Chris Morris as well, who was talking about the 3 years of development that they've put in him already. Honestly, the best player that I see backing him up this season is Jeremiah Masoli. He's a guy I think, would like to continue being a starter, but has realized that those best are probably behind him as much as he's a great competitor. But Masoli, you want to talk about Mark Killam and the wave of momentum behind him and all the players talking about how great of a leader of men he is. Masoli is very much in the same mold as a player. I think that would be a great guy to come in and be a mentor to Trey Ford, to show him how he can go about being a franchise quarterback without, as you said, pushing too much. I think Jeremiah Masoli is still at the point in his career where he can not only get you through, because I don't really like that term, he can start a few games and have you at least competing to win those games. I think that would be perfect. If you go bring in a guy like a Jake Mayer, or, there's some chatter about Cody Fajardo. I still think Montreal's a spot for Fajardo to be a backup. But let's say you go bring in Jake Mayer. Jake Mayer he wants to start.
Yeah.
He's going to be competing and pushing to be the starter. So I think look at all those different factors that, to me at least, has no better fit than Jeremiah Masoli.
Well, it makes sense, right? And where do you think Bethel Thompson's going to land?
But everybody's been talking about the starting quarterbacks, where they're going to land. I think that's all, pretty much tied up at this point. And then it's going to become, okay, who's most sought after as a backup? I actually, in an odd way, some people might think at least, is going to be Jake Mayer. There are teams that still look at Jake Mayer, feel like he's young enough that if he gets that year or two to kind of rejuvenate himself, perhaps Calgary and go to the Rough Riders, that he can reemerge as a legitimate number one quarterback in this league. And as for Thompson, I think he's kind of down that list right now because people are talking about Jake Mayer, talking about Cody Fajardo, talking about Nick Arbuckle, who was just a Grey Cup MVP. And you'll have to see where things shake out. And part of it is going to be, as it has been in the past, McLeod Bethel Thompson and his trade-off for being away from his family in the United States and how much money he's spending up here. Is he going to want to be a backup for, let's say around six figures and be away from his family? Perhaps yes, perhaps no.
Justin, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Enjoy the football weekend and the upcoming coaching, and then free agency in the CFL should be a busy few months.
Indeed. Thanks for having me on, Jason. Appreciate it.
There you go. That's Justin Dunk from 4 Down Nation. Quick break. We'll come back. You'll hear from Zach Hyman himself. Also, Chris Knobloch updates you on Hyman. Arvidsson as the Oilers head out on a 3-game road trip. Utah tomorrow, Colorado Saturday, and then Vegas next Tuesday. And then they'll come back. They'll be home in December, and they're home all month up until Christmas, except for one game. They go to Minnesota for a quick 2-day jaunt, and then they're back. It's the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. And we'll also answer some of your text, 833-401-1440 in our E-Well inbox.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply. Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Centre's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Prime Fasteners and Tools, your trusted source for the latest Milwaukee products and deals. Prime Fasteners and Tools offers power tools, accessories, storage solutions, and the fasteners you need to get your project done on time and on budget. Whether you're a contractor or a weekend warrior, everyone is welcome at Prime Fasteners and Tools. For the best Milwaukee experience, visit Prime Fasteners and Tools, located at 12304 184th Street.
At Cross Mitsubishi, our legendary warranty is going even further.
Right now, upgrade to a 10-year, 200,000-kilometer bumper-to-bumper warranty on your new Mitsubishi.
Cross Mitsubishi will pay $1,000 towards your warranty upgrade, making it easier than ever to drive with confidence.
Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and secure your extended protection. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
A career in the public service is better in Alberta. Better wages, lower taxes. Better job opportunities with our thriving economy. Better chances for advancement. Plus a better future with new investment in healthcare and education. Public service. It's better here. Learn more and discover new career opportunities in the public sector at alberta.ca/betterhere. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Follow both. It's like brutal. Although you can't mute them now on Facebook too.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. This is one big deal for one big pizza. Get an extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Order today at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Non-sports story, but I wonder if this will gain traction elsewhere. Australia has passed a law banning social media for anybody under the age of 16. Oh, because hey, there's so many studies on mental health, and heck, we should ban it for adults. A lot of us, well, some people are just like, okay, you know how to tap out of different things and who you follow and stuff like that. But it's one where we're communicating better, but it's making you worse. So it's an interesting one. It's probably not going to be that easy, but interesting to see where it goes from here. Let's go in the room now. Or the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Volvo Cars Edmonton, of course, is Canada's #1 Volvo dealership. And they got great sales all month. 0% financing on a lease for the 2024 XC90s right now at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And of course, Chris Knobloch spoke today before the orders left. And the big update everybody wants is Zach Hyman.
Well, I haven't checked with TD after skate, but he's been going through the steps. He's feeling much better. And there's a chance that he's playing this road trip sometime.
Oh, there you go. So they're telling me there's a chance. Sometime, maybe now we'll know. You'll know early tomorrow, I think. If and I guess maybe for one game they're like, you know what, we'll go 11-7, and they don't have to recall Drake Caggiula, and they'll just go 11-7. They could do that because Drake Caggiula hasn't been recalled yet, but he could fly today. They make the announcement tomorrow. It just saves him an extra day on the cap, and then he's on the roster by the time the puck drops. All right, so that's a possibility for tomorrow. Now, Hyman hasn't been scoring as much as he would like. And Knobloch just talked about what he feels Hyman can bring when he's not scoring.
Well, he does a lot of things well. He plays pretty good defensive hockey, moves the puck well. Biggest contribution, obviously, is the goal scoring. The game is about winning and losing and scoring goals. And the amount of goals that he scored last year, and whether he's going to match that or not, he knew that there's going to be a significant contribution from him. And this year it hasn't been quite the same, but you know that the goals are going to come. And when you're taking that out of your lineup, it's much more difficult. And you look at playing first line, right wing, usually 19, 20 minutes a night, power play, everything he does, it's a whole. But we do have other guys that we feel confident in that can step up, not replace them, but step up and help out a little bit more.
Well, one of those guys, Pod Colson, and he scored last game. And I'm wondering on Pod Colson you could just see his reaction. It's like a massive gorilla's off his back. I was watching him in practice, and I'm not saying he was faster, but sure looked like he was just a lot more relaxed and loose. And it's like, all right, like, hey, I'm on a new team and I finally scored. And you just feel better, right? Because everybody can tell you, hey, you're doing lots of things. We like it, great. But at the end of the day, you still want to contribute. And getting in on pucks, he's good at it, gets dry saddle, everything's good there. But you want to finish some of those chances. So that's good. The 5-day break, how did the coaching staff approach it, and how they feel it's turned into a positive?
We just try to get the most out of every day. Whether that's, working on the power play one day, penalty kill another, want to fix our breakouts, some details that we feel that make a difference in our team success. And then we also give the guys an extra day off to, feel rested, because the workload had been quite high previous 2 weeks with the amount of games that we've been playing. So, I think that we had some productive practices, with those 5 days off. There was 2 days off where they weren't skating. We'll find out this weekend if it was beneficial.
That's true, I guess, right? Now, if you look back to last season, and it's hard because 5-day breaks don't happen very often, but last year when they had their 5-day break in the middle of the season, they came back, they won their first 4. Now, they just picked up where they left off. They had won 4, 5-day break, won 4 again. That was the middle of their 8-game winning streak, and, they're coming off their most convincing victory of the season against the New York Rangers, who aren't playing their best right now, understandably so, but still, the Oilers beat them fairly handily. And you know what? They should have a little bit more confidence going into that game. Some individuals like Pod Colson, but more so just as a group to say, okay, you know what? Let's get going here now. And if their power play could get going, I think it would just make a world of difference for everybody. You would have the power play guys, Nugent Hopkins, and if they get going, they're going to have a little bit more pep in their step, shall we say. And I think it would make a big difference if we see it. Hey, guys, I was checking out Money Puck. Sure hope the Oilers aren't in on Fowler and Trouba. They gave up a lot of shots when they're on the ice. They're not great shot attempts from Drew. Well, Drew, look at who they play against, right, and who they play with. I think you can't just take the numbers without the context of the numbers, right? When people keep telling, and you see it all the time, Ekholm and Bouchard, look at their numbers, they're great. Yeah, well, who do they play with the majority of the time? Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid's a pretty good driver. Now, Ekholm and Bouchard have their role, and they play very well in it. Don't get me wrong. And I know when someone say, well, their numbers away from here are still pretty good. Yes, it's true. But if the numbers away are like 20%, it's a much smaller sample size. And I look at Trouba and Fowler, like, of course, Fowler's playing the toughest minutes on a team that's terrible, right? Like, I saw someone the other day, like, defensemen who have to play first pair minutes on bad teams have bad analytics. Okay? 99% of them do. Why? Because the rest of their team isn't as good. And so they get beat up. Or you might have a guy who's a second pair defenseman on a good team, but on the bad team, he's playing top pair. So now he's playing higher than he should be. The rest of the team isn't that good, and you're going to have bad numbers. But numbers don't always tell the story. They're an element of it, but they're not the do-all, end-all. Jacob Trouba brings an element that is very rare in today's NHL. He's a physical punisher. Now, he makes $8 million. He doesn't give a lot of points. I understand that. Probably a little bit overpriced. But if all of a sudden Jacob Trouba is a $5.5 million defenseman, $6 million defenseman, there's like many teams lining up because he's still good defensively. He's got some offense. He's tough. He's physical. He kills penalties. He can move the puck. There's a lot of elements to like. Cam Fowler, man. Cam Fowler's last few years in Anaheim, that team's brutal. I don't put much stock into his numbers. I just watch Cam Fowler, and I think Cam Fowler, if he gets out of Anaheim, I think Cam Fowler, it'll be a breath of fresh air for him, number one. And number two, I think he still has elements to help a team a lot. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come and be Matthias Ekholm, but Matthias Ekholm came to the perfect situation. He got to play with Evan Bouchard, who's a good player, and he gets to play a lot of his time with Connor McDavid. Right? And that helps. Now, Ekholm plays a role, don't get me wrong. But you get put into a better role, it allows you to maximize your skills, for sure. Have yourselves a great Thursday evening. We'll actually have a game to talk about tomorrow. Oilers in Utah. Also, lots of NFL tonight, even another one tomorrow on the Chiefs. And there's 14 NHL games. A lot of them will be going on. We're on the show. So should be a lot of fun. We'll have a jam-packed Friday edition tomorrow. Of course, Carius and Brando coming up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Have yourselves an awesome Thursday evening. Sports 1440 update brought to you by eWell. Score with your power play partners at eWell. Get all the electrical needs at ewel.ca. Ordering and shipping in Edmonton and across Alberta. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Thanksgiving south of the border. With that, we've got a lot of football today. Earlier on, it was the Bears falling to the Detroit Lions 23-20. Detroit improving to 11-1 on the season. Right now, Cowboys up on the Giants 27-13. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Later on tonight, you got the Dolphins taking on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau. 6:20 kickoff in that one. From the CFL, reports out there, momentum building for Mark Killam as the next head coach of the Edmonton Elks. That comes from Justin Dunk of 3 Down Nation. Killam is a U of A graduate who played for the Golden Bears from 1997 to 2001 as a linebacker and team captain. Spent the last 20 seasons in various roles with the Calgary Stampeders. Also, the CFL period of free agency will get going on February 11th next year. That's starting at noon Eastern time. Also, they'll have the free agency communication window, and teams can openly speak with pending free agents from February 2nd until February 9th. Lots of college basketball today. One game going on right now. BYU on top of Ole Miss, 75-71 with 2 minutes left in the second half. Earlier today, Gonzaga knocked off Indiana, 89-73. Wake Forest falls to Florida, 75-58. Purdue over NC State, 71-61. Illinois knocks off number 19 ranked Arkansas, 90-77. And Oklahoma over Arizona, 82-77 on the football field. Tulane right now trailing Memphis 7-0 with 7 minutes remaining in the first quarter. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio all night, and then tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., it is the Kevin Carius Show with Carius Douglas and special guest host, Eddie Steele. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440.